This was once hailed as one of the darkest manga work in the world. Also the divine masterpiece that countless fans consider the most regrettable. Human trafficking, violent demolition, the villains in it run rampant, committing all kinds of unconscionable acts, yet they continue to live freely without consequences. If heroes choose to stand up and resist them, their final fate is having their legs broken and being publicly humiliated on the street. However, this dark manga makes everyone who reads it question what justice really is. Because some villains here aren't simply evil for the sake of being evil. The heroes also have unspeakable hardships and heartbreaking pasts. There are 3 memorable characters in this manga. One is a gang boss named Axie. In his youth, he was an idealistic, hot-blooded young man. He went undercover in a gang alone for the sake of justice. But later came the terrible news that his mother at home had fallen ill. Seeing that his superior couldn't help him, Axie had no choice but to leave a resignation letter and try to earn money on his own. But this happened to be discovered by the boss and his gang. He didn't expose Axie, but came to him covered in wounds with a bag of cash, telling him to take it back home for his mother's treatment. From that moment on, Axie became the boss's most loyal enforcer. But these were just surface appearances. Axie hadn't forgotten the justice in his heart. During the day, he was the feared brother Axie, specifically doing ruthless deeds for his boss. But at night, he transformed into a masked hero. When criminals caused trouble nearby, he would rush out first without hesitation, to help those who needed help. The second character is called Xiao Yue. If Axie is someone who can't be simply described as just or evil, then Xiao Yue is someone who completely fell from justice into evil. He was born in chaotic V country. As a poor child, he loved Superman very much. Even though his mom could only buy him a Superman toy with a broken arm, he would still happily show it off to his friends. The reason was that he also wanted to protect his mom and friends like Superman. For this, he actively learned brutal Muay Thai, so he could have the strength to protect his family. But later he witnessed his mother being beaten by a mob. In rage, he struck back and killed someone. Once the class monitor at school, he went to prison. Xiao Yue suffered all kinds of humiliation and torture inside. He began to question why. He only wanted to protect his mom. Why did he have to endure all this? Later, through the teachings of some seniors inside, he began to understand that being a good person was useless. Only having big fists was the real truth. Years later, Xiao Yue was released from prison. All those who had bullied him inside were defeated by him, but his own mother had already passed away from illness. He stood in the sunset, telling his brothers that from now on he would be a bad person, and the most vicious and evil one at that. He no longer believed in Superman. He would rely on his own strength to protect important people. And this third character is called Adi, our protagonist. Adi had been learning kickboxing with his father since childhood. At 15, he had already won competitions nationwide and became the youth champion. Back then, he was full of passion, thinking he could also become a hero like his father. But later, a group of thugs came to their town for forced demolition. His father stood up alone to fight them. When Adi came home from school, the mighty father in his eyes had already had his legs broken, a pencil shoved in his mouth, hanging on the street like a dog. Adi broke down. From then on, the shadow of his father's tragic death haunted his heart. He no longer used his martial skills, becoming very timid and cowardly. When his home was harassed by small-time thugs, he didn't act. When he saw classmates being bullied at school, he didn't act. Even when he himself was ridden and toyed with by school bullies, Adi just shed tears and endured silently, never fighting back. A phrase was firmly planted in his heart: playing hero will never lead to any good ending. Until later, something happened that stirred Adi's dead heart again. Recently, an app had been circulating, called Private Hero. As the name suggests, whenever you encounter danger, just input your request online, and a hero would come to provide personal service to solve your problems. Heroes fear no danger and charge no fees. You just need to give a 5-star review afterward. When his friend first told Adi about this app, he didn't believe it, because a bullying incident was happening right in front of him. That scumbag had done countless unconscionable things, yet still lived freely with no one daring to touch him. Although Adi was also filled with rage wanting to deal with him, but that guy just glared once, and Adi broke into cold sweat and retreated 3 steps. He wasn't afraid of this person. He was afraid of the powerful background behind him. So if there really were heroes, how could they let such scum live? After school, Adi and his friend Arin came to a toy store, where Adi was attracted to a handsome Superman toy inside. He had saved money for half a year by not eating breakfast to afford this toy. He desperately hoped that Superman really existed in this world, to beat those scumbags at school to death, to pulp, to ruin. Speak of the devil, that bullying gang found Adi. Just one voice made Adi break into cold sweat. He quickly turned and backed away, saying, "Wang Zheng, what a coincidence," while tightly covering his wallet, afraid of being discovered. That guy called Wang Zheng said, "I was just looking for you, I just learned boxing, come practice with me." Before Adi could react, he threw a jab at Adi's face. Adi covered his nose and squatted down in pain. Wang Zheng cheerfully said his boxing skills were pretty good, the coach said he had talent. Then, with the jeering of other lackeys around, Wang Zheng threw another heavy punch at Adi. But the next second, Adi instantly dodged and clenched his fists in fighting stance. He unconsciously entered his old competition state. The atmosphere froze. At this moment, Wang Zheng also noticed the money Adi accidentally exposed. He pointed at Adi, asking, "What's this?" Adi frantically tried to explain, but got punched in the stomach. Wang Zheng threatened, "Take off your pants, give me the money inside too." Adi fell silent, remembering what his father once told him. Rather than hoping the world gives you heroes, it's better to become a hero yourself. When the next punch came, Adi's eyes blazed with fury. He awakened. No, he didn't. Adi obediently took off his pants, letting those guys ride on top of him. Feeling the contempt and mockery from everyone around, Adi cried sadly. He hated his own heart. Why didn't he dare to fight back? If he wanted to, he could knock them all down in 5 minutes. But remembering his father's fate, he didn't dare. After those people took his money and left, Adi knelt alone on the ground, simply a waste. Adi picked up a cardboard box to cover his body and walked home alone. But misfortunes never come singly. Just as he reached his doorstep, he saw someone spray painting graffiti on his house. Adi recognized these guys. In recent years, with the development of the times, cities have begun to be full of high-rise buildings. Only the small town where his family lived remained undeveloped. So some real estate developers had their eyes on this place, wanting to acquire the land here at ultra-low prices to make money. But the local neighbors refused them. After that, small-time thugs often came to harass and threaten residents to force them to move. At this moment, that thug spotted a passing man, walked up, and without a word, smashed down with a wrench. Both Adi and that man's pupils contracted instantly. But the next second, a whip kick fiercely struck the thug's face. Feeling the wind brush past his face, the man was stunned. The one who struck was a young woman who, after kicking the thug down, followed up with an uppercut. The force was so great it knocked the thug unconscious. The woman was named Fang Fang, the landlord here, and also Adi's elder sister. The passing man was a tenant who had just moved to the floor above Adi's house, named Sun Wei Wan. He had just paid rent to Fang Fang and came down for some air. Unexpectedly encountered these troublemaking thugs. At this moment, Fang Fang had just dealt with that thug, but immediately grabbed Sun Wei Wan's head and pushed him aside. Still too late. Another thug rushed over. One wrench down, and Fang Fang, unable to defend in time, had a finger bent. Then a heavy kick sent her flying. Feeling the intense pain from her finger, Fang Fang took a deep breath. Before the opponent approached, she gripped her finger and snapped it back into place with force. The pain made tears well up in Fang Fang's eyes. That person had just walked up to Fang Fang ready to strike, but Fang Fang quickly punched. Another jab. After the combo finished, that thug was also knocked down by Fang Fang. In the sunset, both Adi and Sun Weiwen stared at Fang Fang in amazement. But at this moment, other thugs around also noticed the situation here and shouted before all rushing over together. Suddenly, some bottles came smashing over. It was the surrounding neighbors. They all came out together, swarming forward to surround these thugs. The thugs were immediately stunned, while Fang Fang emerged from the crowd, grabbed the leader's finger. "If you don't mess around, I'll let you all go." Then she applied force and broke that person's finger too. The thug immediately screamed in pain. But this also made Fang Fang murderous. She pressed the thug down beneath her, punch after punch, until she nearly beat him to death before others stopped her. After that, those thugs left this place. The fat neighbor lady also called for everyone to disperse. But Sun Weiyuan's face suddenly darkened as he asked, "You're not a gang, are you?" At these words, everyone's faces turned black. The fat lady quickly explained the whole story to him, saying they weren't a gang, just that these people's harassment made everyone miserable, even causing deaths before. So under Fang Fang's leadership, everyone came together to resist. The conversation ended there, and Adi also quietly came out, preparing to go home. But when Fang Fang saw him, she mocked, "Our great hero appears. Seeing your own house splashed with red paint and not making a sound? Today's heroes are really timid." Adi remained silent. The fat lady also advised Fang Fang to calm down. But Fang Fang glanced at the cardboard box on Adi's body. Knowing he had been bullied outside again, she said even more sarcastically, "Aren't you a hero? How come you don't even have pants?" Seeing Adi still not speaking, she became even more furious. Since their father and eldest sister died, Fang Fang had dropped out of school to support this family alone. She ran the family's boxing gym by herself, delivered newspapers every noon, and rented out extra rooms in the house, trying every way to earn more money just so the boxing gym their father left wouldn't close down, while also taking care of Adi, her only remaining family member. Therefore, she couldn't stand Adi's current state, usually bragging about being some hero. But when trouble comes, he's the first to run away. When the house gets splashed with paint, you hide. When your own sister gets beaten, you also hide. Adi was left speechless by her words. At this moment, Sun Weiyuan suddenly coughed violently. Fang Fang's attention was diverted as she asked if he was okay. But Sun Weiyuan coughed more and more violently, actually coughing up a big glob of blood. Everyone was startled, and Fang Fang quickly had someone call an ambulance. But Sun Weiyuan stopped her. It turned out he was spitting ketchup. He saw the atmosphere was too serious, so he made a joke with everyone to lighten the mood. Everyone was speechless. That night, Adi sat alone on the rooftop, recalling the day's encounters. A surge of anger and hatred welled up in his heart. He opened Private Hero. The app started up. An introduction appeared on the screen. "This world is full of violence and bullying, cruelty and darkness. Does this make you feel confused and helpless? But there is still justice in the world. As long as you believe, they will appear." A simple app interface appeared in front of Adi. Adi opened the Hero Commission and angrily wrote in that bullying gang, their oppressive behavior and their names. Adi wrote everything down in detail, finally pressed confirm. If there really are heroes, then kill them all. But the app's final reply left him stunned. His Hero Commission was rejected. Adi collapsed angrily on the ground. Sure enough, it was all lies. This world has no heroes at all. However, the next moment, the app sent him another message that left him dazed. Do you want to become a hero? The next day, Adi told his friends about this at school. The two were shocked after hearing and quickly asked how Adi had replied. But then they spotted that gang of bullies. Adi quickly took his friend to the alley, tacitly deciding to take the back route to school. But what they didn't know was that deep in the alley ahead of them, two groups of human traffickers were having a conflict. A group of country traffickers had brought children who had all died, so the receiving party directly refused to pay. The other boss even angrily kicked one of their members, but this kick enraged the trafficker's boss. Xiao Yue immediately jumped down, throwing a fierce punch at that guy. But that person directly pulled out a gun and pointed it at Xiao Yue's head. Even me you dare to touch? Be more careful in your next life. You fucking dare hit my boss. Then Xiao Yue handed the knife to that curly-haired guy, signaling him to go forward for revenge. The long-haired man hastily explained, I only kicked you once, you killed two of my guys, we're even, right? The curly-haired man didn't let him finish speaking and chopped down at his head with the knife. At this moment, a child suddenly rushed out. She had been playing dead earlier and now seized the opportunity to run out. At this time, Adi was telling Arin about last night's situation. He had replied to the app that he wanted to be a hero. After that, the app never responded. But suddenly the app replied, as long as you defeat the human traffickers ahead, I'll let you become a hero. Looking at this message, Adi didn't understand. There was only a couple in front of him. Where were any human traffickers? However, the next second, a dirty little girl rushed out. She hugged the woman and kept begging for help, but the woman couldn't understand her language. When the woman looked up again, a blade was at her face. The woman's hand was chopped off. A group of weapon-wielding thugs appeared before them. Feeling their murderous intent, Adi panicked. That woman lay on the ground, crying and begging her boyfriend for help. But the leader Xiao Yue walked up and pressed down on the woman, directly swinging the knife to silence her. Blood splattered across Xiao Yue's face. Then he pointed at Adi and the others, saying in the language of Country V to kill these people. A chase immediately broke out in the small alley. At this moment, that woman's boyfriend grabbed Adi and yanked him behind to block the knife for himself, feeling the terrifying killing intent behind him. In this life or death moment, Adi exploded with his limits. Quickly grabbed that man and immediately pushed him behind himself. The man was directly chopped into mincemeat, and turning right ahead was the main road. They could escape soon. But the next second, Adi was dumbfounded. Arin had actually run in the opposite direction. Looking at the dead end ahead, Arin was also stunned. What to do now? Adi quickly called for Arin to come over. But outside were the human traffickers, and fear had made Arin's legs too weak to move. No matter how Adi called, Arin still didn't dare rush out rashly. Seeing the situation becoming more critical, and thinking of what happened to those two people just now, Adi was also scared to tears by death. I'm only 17, I don't want to die. Recalling his past life, Adi broke down. He had clearly lived peacefully and law-abidingly. Why did all the misfortunes happen to him? At this time, the human traffickers began approaching them. Adi was already sweating profusely. If they continued like this, all three of them would die here. If he ran away now, at least he and this little girl could survive. After a painful internal struggle, Adi finally chose with tears to abandon his friend. Sorry, Arin. At this moment, Arin was also huddled on the ground crying in fear. At this time, Adi recalled when they were young. My mom often said brothers must have blood relations. But compared to my biological brother, Adi, you're more like my real brother. Adi ultimately couldn't abandon Arin. He crouched down and let the little girl escape first, preferably to call people for help. But she couldn't understand Adi's language at all. Helplessly, Adi had to push her out and tell her to run for her life. Then he ran back alone. He would risk his life to protect his friend. At this time in Adi's home, Sun Weiyuan came to visit their house. He accidentally discovered a cabinet full of various trophies. Sun Weiyuan instinctively thought these belonged to Fang Fang. After all, she had single-handedly taken down 3 thugs before. But Fang Fang, who was practicing boxing, said these belonged to Adi. It turned out Adi had once been the national kickboxing champion, having fought over 100 matches without ever losing. Only because of what happened with his father did Adi become timid and afraid to fight. Looking at those luxurious trophies, Sun Weiyuan said in amazement, then Adi must be quite a fighter. But this comment made Fang Fang fall silent. If martial arts were counted as sports, then her brother was indeed an excellent martial artist. But competition is still competition. Athletes on the field don't need to worry about anything. They just need to focus on completing the match. Even if they lose, they can try again next year. But street violence is another matter entirely. There are no referees and rules for protection like in competitions. Your opponents might outnumber you, and they might have weapons, plus various accidents that could happen anytime. In the worst case, you might even be beaten to death. Adi was indeed an excellent martial arts athlete, but he was also just an introverted, timid high school student. At this moment, Adi was very nervous. He hadn't practiced martial arts for almost 2 years. Now he had to face 5 armed thugs right away. He was covered in cold sweat. Can I really do this? Adi took a deep breath and began thinking about how to attack next, as long as he focused on defending against their weapon-wielding right hands. Then quickly used lethal strikes. He still had hope of winning. At this moment, his phone suddenly received a message. Your friend has issued a hero commission, and you are that hero. It turned out that just now, when the human trafficker was about to catch Arin, a police officer discovered them. The officer saw the tragic state of those two young lovers on the ground, and quickly drew his gun warning them not to move, but Xiao Yue suddenly appeared. With one slash, the officer was also silenced. This terrifying scene scared Arin badly. With nowhere to turn, he remembered the private hero app and quickly took it out to call for help. And this message was transmitted to Adi's phone. Seeing the human trafficker about to swing his knife at Arin, Adi knew it was time to act. He immediately rushed out Arin. I'm coming! Taking advantage of the opponent's back being turned, Adi charged and knocked the thug down. This scene shocked Arin. The thug also stopped and faced off with Adi, then immediately drew his knife and slashed. Adi followed his planned moves, first focusing on blocking the knife-wielding right hand, finally landing a punch to the opponent's neck. The thug immediately stopped and began coughing. While Adi was somewhat stunned, being overly nervous, he forgot how to execute his moves, recalling past competitions in his mind. Next, he should use kickboxing. Right, that's it. Kickboxing, hammer fist. Kickboxing, bite kick. Finally, the finishing move. Kickboxing, combo. After delivering full damage, Adi turned and delivered a heavy kick, directly smashing the human trafficker into the glass, losing combat ability. Coming back to his senses, Adi gasped heavily. He had actually done it. I won. Eddie turned to Arin and said, you just used private hero to commission a hero, right? After getting confirmation. Eddie recalled that message. What that mysterious person said was true. Then he clenched his fists and said excitedly, I am the hero you're looking for. Arin looked at him in amazement. Adi was actually the hero. But then his phone received a message. He looked down. Your hero commission has not yet been accepted. Please wait patiently. This message left Arin confused again. But before he could react, he quickly warned Adi, watch your back. Xiao Yue was already slashing down with his knife. Adi instinctively raised his left hand to block. In that split second, the knife struck his button, and then slipped and fell to the ground. Adi barely avoided this deadly strike. Then Xiao Yue continued attacking with the knife. Adi used the same moves to attack his wrist, knocking the knife away, then charged up a punch toward his neck. But then he was dumbfounded. Xiao Yue actually caught his fist with his chin, and was so strong that Adi couldn't pull his hand back at all. Then he delivered a heavy punch to Adi's head. After knocking Adi back against the wall, Xiao Yue threw another punch at his face. At the critical moment, Adi quickly bent down to dodge this punch. After circling behind Xiao Yue, he seized the opportunity and clenched his fist to attack. Xiao Yue suddenly threw a punch toward Adi's face. Adi's head directly smashed through the wall behind him. Standing up again, Adi's face was covered in wounds. Without strength to defend, he was grabbed by the head by Xiao Yue. His face was repeatedly attacked by knee strikes, until he was beaten black and blue. Adi accidentally stepped on the fallen hand, and fell directly to the ground. Looking back, that terrifying scene immediately scared Adi into cowering in the corner. He still lost. Arin was also dragged over. The two leaned against the wall as Xiao Yue took the knife and prepared to strike. Covered in wounds, Adi recalled that scene with his father from years ago. 10 years ago, he was weak and powerless. 10 years later, this world still had no heroes appearing. At this time, on the other side, Sun Wei-wan returned to his home. He picked up his phone and found an unaccepted message. When Adi was young, his big sister once told him this world had heroes. As long as you shouted hero 3 times in a row, he would immediately come to save them. Now Adi looked at that descending blade, and said despairingly, this world has no heroes at all. The next second, Xiao Yue swung down his knife. Just then, his phone received a message. Your commission has been successfully accepted by a hero. Suddenly, a mysterious figure crashed through the window. The hero appears. He grabbed Xiao Yue's face, and directly slammed him into the wall. At this moment, the barely breathing Adi opened his eyes. Hero? Is it really a hero? Sister didn't lie to me. Taking that hit, Xiao Yue didn't surrender but stared at his opponent with murderous intent. That mysterious person was also fearless, when other thugs came slashing with knives. In just 1 second, the mysterious person immediately dodged all attacks, then kicked one person into the air, delivered a heavy punch to finish another, then bent down to dodge a swinging machete, grabbed it and threw it back, then leaped up to the opponent's face. A fierce kick took down another. Within 1 minute, he had taken down 3 thugs. This powerful strength amazed Adi, but the next second he quickly warned to be careful. Xiao Yue had come up behind. The battle between both sides entered a heated phase. Meanwhile, That curly-haired guy who had been knocked out earlier stood up again, while the mysterious person and Xiao Yue were still in fierce combat. Seeing Xiao Yue about to be defeated, he remembered his brothers who had survived and shared hardships with him since childhood. Xiao Yue's eyes focused. He braced his hand on the ground, suddenly flew up, raising his fist to strike the mysterious person. Seeing his boss about to lose, the newly awakened curly-haired guy shouted, "Go to hell!" Then grabbed an AK and went on a crazy shooting spree. The mysterious person quickly dodged, but was also surrounded in front. Seeing no way out, he grabbed two corpses from the ground and held them in the middle. Then came a barrage of gunfire. Despite having two shields, the mysterious person's legs were still shot. Seeing the offensive getting fiercer with no way out, after some thought, he took out a mysterious pill and swallowed it. When Xiao Yue and his gang stopped their fire coverage, only thick smoke remained there. Just as Adi was worried, the bullets on the mysterious person's body actually all fell off. Used another one. Really didn't expect to be pushed this far by a few small fries. "Kid, don't move at all, otherwise you'll die," the mysterious man said to Adi. At this moment, facing the opponent's gunfire, the mysterious person directly burst forth at lightning speed, jumping back and forth. After easily dodging their bullets, he came behind the thugs. Then, with a wave of his hand, the scarf on his body instantly expanded and split, becoming a blood-red monster. This terrifying thing shocked everyone present. The man then pointed with his finger. The next second, that monster directly split into countless black ropes, swarming to bind those 5 human traffickers. That monster bound the 5 people together. With the man's downward hand gesture, it slammed them hard to the ground. Those 5 extremely terrifying thugs were thus controlled. Then the mysterious person retracted the long black ropes. The mysterious person whispered, "Mission complete." One of the curly-haired guys shed tears saying, "No, don't." While leader Xiao Yue was also covered in wounds, gasping heavily. He remembered the scene of his mother being bullied. Once he had trained hard in Muay Thai, also fantasizing about being a hero to protect his family and friends. But when he later saw his mother being beaten black and blue by 2 small thugs, yet still desperately protecting his school fees, rage clouded his mind. He pressed those 2 thugs to the ground, punch after punch, until they were beaten nearly to death. Xiao Yue then grabbed a piece of broken glass and stabbed down. Blood splattered on the nearby Superman toy, also foreshadowing Xiao Yue's future descent into darkness. Later, due to manslaughter, Xiao Yue went to prison. As soon as he entered, he was targeted by the boss inside. After being violated by multiple people, Xiao Yue lay on the ground covered in wounds. He didn't understand. He was just trying to protect his mom. Why did this happen? Back to the present, Xiao Yue savagely tore at those black restraints. "Even if you're a monster, I'll destroy you." Every cell in his body was exerting force. Finally, he forcibly tore apart those black ropes. He had once told his mom he wanted to be a hero. Even though he had now fallen into darkness, he would still protect the important people around him. Xiao Yue used all his strength to roar and run toward the mysterious person. But the other party chuckled lightly, then moved his finger. Xiao Yue was directly smashed into the wall. Then the black monster whipped him around. Xiao Yue finally lost his fighting ability, because private heroes' rules forbid killing. So the mysterious person only knocked him unconscious. Then he shook hands with Adi to thank him for his patronage, hoping for a 5-star review, then left this place. The man came to a high tower, took off his mask to reveal his true face. It turned out he was Sun Weiyuan, who had just moved near Adi's house. Sun Weiyuan had specifically moved to Taiping Town to protect everyone due to an old friend's request. He delivered packages during the day and played superhero at night. His hero level on Private Hero was level 5, codename Tearing Moon Red Dog. After completing today's mission, he returned to Taiping Town. Because of his double job, his body was a bit weak, and he was still complaining that he had to take pills even to deal with small thugs. At this moment, a sound of water attracted his attention. Through a hole in the wall, he discovered it was Fang Fang taking a bath. This fragrant scene made Sun Weiyuan's nose bleed. To prevent Fang Fang from being peeped at, he righteously took out his phone to record. This way no one else would peep. At this moment, Adi and Arin were also on the rooftop. Arin excitedly discussed today's events. The appearance of real heroes made him very happy. But Adi was still haunted by Xiao Yue's expression at the time. He keenly sensed that Xiao Yue had a sad past, questioning what experiences had made them become like this. Adi recalled when his father trained him before. Because his will wasn't strong, he could never persist for long each time. His father had even despised him for being too useless back then, and today during the day was the same. Under Xiao Yue's attack, he couldn't last more than a few moves before surrendering. After Arin left, Adi took out his phone and sent a specific commission to Tearing Moon Red Dog, asking if he could come out and chat with him. This message immediately reached Sun Weiwan's phone, startling him while he was secretly watching Fang Fang taking a bath. His movement caught the attention of Adi upstairs. Looking at Adi, who was staring at him intently, Sun Weiwan quickly tried to act calm. "I'm a handsome guy. As long as I stay calm, he definitely won't suspect anything. I just happened to pass by and saw there was a hole and happened to see Fang Fang bathing. I was worried someone might be peeping, so I was guarding here." Seeing that Adi didn't seem to believe him, he quickly swore an oath. "I, Sun Weiwan, have always acted honorably. If I was peeping at the landlady bathing, let me be thrown around by a kappa for 3 days and nights until I die. If you weren't peeping, then how do you know my sister is in there?" The next second, a kappa actually appeared and walked towards Sun Weiwan, but it was actually just a cosplayer who had taken a wrong turn. At this moment, Adi also mentioned that downstairs is the men's bathroom. My sister couldn't possibly be in there. Sure enough, the next second a man walked out from inside. It turns out Sun Weiwan had been peeping at a transvestite wearing a wig. "This wig doesn't quite fit right. I'll need to change to another one next time." Sun Weiwan broke down. "Are you sick? Why are you wearing a wig while bathing?" The other person was also surprised. "Are you a pervert? You were actually peeping at me bathing." "I guess I am a bit perverted. I even got turned on by you." Hearing this, the transvestite ran away directly, shouting, "There's a pervert here." After the farce ended, Sun Weiwan finally opened his phone to check the message Adi had sent him. Looking at that text message, after brief consideration, Sun Weiwan went upstairs to find Adi, greeted him, and introduced himself. But Adi was looking at his phone, showing the hero has not accepted commission message and feeling dejected. He asked Sun Weiwan a question. "Do you think there are heroes in this world?" Sun Weiwan just smiled slightly, then gave him an example. "What is a hero? If someone saves a person, people might not call him a hero. But if he pays a price to save someone, then people will call him a hero. But who will compensate for what the hero loses?" Sun Weiwan believed that so-called heroes are just words people use to describe and embellish your acts of kindness. If just because people call you a hero once, you sacrifice so much without asking for anything in return, isn't that foolish? And if you sacrifice yourself, what about your family? At this time downstairs at Adi's house, neighbors heard that Adi was injured and all rushed over. But Fang Fang didn't take it seriously. She said coldly, "Adi is so good at running away, how could anything happen to him?" Aunt Wang advised her not to be so strict with Adi. After all, he's only 17 years old. But these words angered Fang Fang. She pointed at her father's memorial tablet and said, "Back then, Dad was also 17 when he came here alone to make his way." Time goes back to when father was 17 years old, in that chaotic era. This small town was covered by various gangs, everywhere was filled with gambling, drugs, and prostitution. There was nothing but violence and chaos, even brutal killings were commonplace. But when the local residents were all resigned to suffering due to their weakness, he, an outsider, couldn't stand it and stood up to protect everyone. Adi's father opened a martial arts gym locally, then took in some homeless people, teaching them various martial arts to protect themselves. After that, he kept fighting against various criminal forces, successfully bringing peace to this small town, which is why it was named Taiping Town. Taiping means peace in their country. But peace doesn't last forever. Years later, Taiping Town was visited by a group of thugs who wanted to forcibly demolish buildings. The leader had big gold teeth and a hoarse voice. "I heard someone here is playing hero." The terrifying tattoo on his back symbolized his power. When Adi and his sister came home from school, their father had already been captured. Father was hung high up on the main street for public display. Looking at their father's miserable state, father's legs had been cut off, his mouth stuffed full of pencils. Young Adi and Fang Fang broke down. That gold-toothed man spoke arrogantly, "This world really has no eyes. A great hero like him ended up like this, while a bad guy like me still lives freely." Accompanied by the sound of a chainsaw cutting, Adi's father lost his life just like that. This incident cast a serious shadow over Fang Fang and Adi. Since then, Fang Fang became extremely hateful of evil, vowing to kill all the gangsters in the world, while 7-year-old Adi was terrified by his father's miserable end. Goldtooth's words were firmly etched in his mind. This is what happens to heroes. Never, ever try to be a hero. After hearing Adi and Fang Fang's story, Sun Weiwan fell silent. He stood on the high building thinking about what exactly is a hero. As a superhero codenamed Tearing Moon Red Dog, he could take down 5 armed thugs in 10 minutes, and possessed the terrifying power to destroy an entire building. But being a hero has no rewards, apart from his identity as Tearing Moon Red Dog. Sun Weiwan is usually just an ordinary person making a living by delivering packages. If he delivers packages slowly, he gets spat on by rude customers. He also gets humiliated as just a lowly worker. What's the point of being a hero? While the 3 were each lost in their worries at a distant prison, a man who had served 10 years of hard time was released. Adi didn't know yet that Goldtooth, who had brought him nightmares, was back. In this chaotic era, there are always various criminals seeking illegal profits through crime. Among them, human traffickers are the most notorious. They hide in the darkness, kidnapping good-looking women, to use them as tools to make money. But today this small gang had bad luck. Just as they were about to take away the woman they had just captured, an uncle suddenly crashed into him. The uncle's name was Shu Guokun, who had just been released from prison today, after assuring the girl that he would protect her. Shu Guokun turned to those guys and said, "I won't call the police, just let us go." But how could they possibly let him go? Seeing that person draw a knife and slash at him. But the next second he froze, through the car behind Shu Guokun. In the car window, he saw a large group of people wearing white suits. This was actually the famous White Dragon Gang. With the sound of clicking footsteps, Brother Axie, the leader, walked up to them, pointed at all of them, indicating they should all come with him. The human trafficker immediately broke out in cold sweat and trembled as he apologized. "Sorry, we were ignorant to come catch people on White Dragon Gang Brothers' territory. Please be magnanimous and let us go." Everyone present didn't dare to breathe. But unexpectedly, Brother Axie just smiled and said, "What are you talking about? We're all decent people, we won't hurt you. It's fine, you can go." Hearing this, the man breathed a sigh of relief and was about to leave with his subordinates. The next second, Brother Axie directly gave him a head washing with an axe. Everyone present was shocked. Does anyone else want to leave now? If not, let's go. The group was thus taken by the White Dragon Gang to an abandoned factory. After getting out of the cars facing a large group of White Dragon Gang members, Brother Axie led the way forward with everyone following behind. All the White Dragon Gang members looked at them menacingly. After entering, Shu Guokun was taken away alone by Brother Axie. They came to an internal room where the White Dragon Gang's dragon head was sitting. At this time, the blonde hair standing to his right said, "Grandpa, I'll handle the real estate contract matter properly. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." Go ahead." When the blonde passed by Shu Guokun, both their expressions seemed to have subtle changes. "Guokun," Grandpa said, "I was busy with something today, so I couldn't personally come to pick you up from prison. Really sorry about that." Seeing Grandpa, Guokun also excitedly called out Big Brother. But the two weren't here to reminisce. "Guokun, you've had a hard time these years." Grandpa said he had already arranged everything for him abroad. The money had also been transferred to your account. "From now on, Guokun, you can live happily abroad for the rest of your life." Hearing this, Shu Guokun laughed out loud. He slowly began talking about what happened back then. It turns out it was Grandpa who had assigned Shu Guokun to cause trouble for the land in Taiping Town. But just when he had killed Ari's father and was about to settle everything, Grandpa turned his back and said Shu Guokun had made things too big, and to calm things down, he made Shu Guokun turn himself in, and promised that when he got out, he would give him the dragon head position. But the result was that Grandpa bribed people inside and directly changed Shu Guokun's 3-year sentence to death penalty. He was afraid that Shu Guokun would go back on his word and rat him out. But the two had sworn brotherhood back then. How could Shu Guokun betray him? What Grandpa didn't expect was that Shu Guokun had an amazing subordinate. After learning about his situation, that subordinate immediately went to study law and got a lawyer's license. He fought lawsuits all the way, helping Shu Guokun change from death penalty to fixed-term imprisonment, then to 10 years. Now that Grandpa learned Shu Guokun was out of prison, he specially brought him to this unfinished building, so that if Shu Guokun didn't agree to leave, he could finish him off here. After Shu Guokun finished speaking, Grandpa's face had turned black. He pointed at him. "Kill him." The subordinate beside him immediately raised a baseball bat and swung it at Shu Guokun. But he directly turned around and punched the bat to pieces, then punched the subordinate to the ground with another blow. Being treated like this by my own big brother really doesn't feel good. The next second, all the subordinates around rushed at him together. Shu Guokun took them down one by one. During the fight, Shu Guokun's clothes and glasses were torn off by the subordinates, revealing his explosive muscles underneath. After taking care of all the subordinates, Shu Guokun removed his dentures. Heaven really has no eyes. A villain like you who commits all kinds of evil gets to live comfortably until old age, while your subordinates die and get injured for your pleasure. In the end, all they get is your betrayal. I, Shu Guokun, will take back what belongs to me today. Just then, the man standing to Grandpa's left stepped forward. Shu Guokun was slightly surprised to see him. This blonde was named Dean, a popular contestant in recent domestic boxing leagues. Rumor has it he can dent steel plates with his bare hands, because he has killed opponents in multiple matches. He's nicknamed the Killing Dog. Dean walked up to Shu Guokun and said, "Brother, you're quite interesting. If I can't kill you within 10 seconds, I lose." The two stared at each other like two fierce beasts. The next second, Dean and Shu Guokun threw punches simultaneously. The battle was intense. The huge commotion startled the birds on the roof, and they flew away instantly. Shugokun 1. Rumors are just rumors after all. I think the nickname Chihuahua suits you better. Dean's neck was twisted. After instantly defeating Dean, Shugokun slowly walked toward Grandpa. At this point, Grandpa panicked and quickly said, "Even if I die, you won't benefit at all. I still have over 100 subordinates outside. Do you think you can escape unscathed?" Hearing this, Shugokun also stopped. At this moment, the door was opened. Brother Axie walked in and said, "Sorry, big brother. I was delayed by something outside just now. Leave the rest to me." Seeing him raise his knife, about to slash at Shugokun. Who would have thought the knife actually slashed down at Grandpa? Grandpa was startled. Grandpa broke out in cold sweat. He never expected that Brother Axie was actually Shugokun's undercover agent. But this knife was blocked by Shugokun. "What's wrong, big brother? Why did you stop me?" Shugokun recalled when he and Grandpa first met, saying he is my big brother after all. So the next second, Shugokun grabbed the machete. "If anyone's going to do it, it should be me personally. Time to go, big brother." After dealing with Grandpa, the two walked outside. Standing in front of them was a heavily tattooed hip-hop guy. Seeing him, Shugokun rushed over directly, then gave him a big hug. "Aiming, I missed you so much." Time rewinds to when Shugokun was confronting Grandpa just now. Aiming climbed over the wall to help Shugokun deal with the many subordinates outside. Surrounded by many White Dragon Gang subordinates outside, he charged in alone after being blocked by those subordinates. He directly kicked them away. He fought alone against dozens of subordinates. After taking down a wave of people, the young man quickly ran toward the stairs behind. When the subordinates behind caught up, he turned around and punched one in the face. In just moments, he had already taken down several people. Then the young man bent down to dodge someone's attack, directly charged towards someone standing at the stairway. With full force, he knocked him down. When other subordinates surrounded him, he turned around with a low kick to the groin, then gouged someone's eyes with his hand, then swung his fist hard. Moments later, the dozens of subordinates on scene had all been dealt with by him. The only remaining guy quickly knelt down, crying as he begged for mercy. Saying his wife died early, he has 2 daughters at home. Joining the White Dragon Gang was just to make a living. "If I die, my 2 daughters will become orphans." Hearing his words, the young man's raised fist was lowered. Then he directly turned around and bypassed him. This scene was seen by Brother Axie, who had been watching from the corner. He sighed and said, "Aiming, why are you always so soft-hearted like this?" Then he took out a knife and stepped forward, directly slashing at the young man. But he wasn't attacking Aiming, but swinging the knife at the guy who had already turned around to sneak attack Aiming. Aiming realized it was too late. Fortunately, Brother Axie made up for it and took care of that guy. Back to the present, the White Dragon Gang subordinates had basically been dealt with. Shugokun brought Aiming and Brother Axie outside. The blonde hair who had been standing beside Grandpa earlier was downstairs. He was the subordinate who had taught himself law and saved Shugokun back then, Xiaofei. It turns out that during Shugokun's time in prison, Grandpa's side had long been occupied by Shugokun's informants. At this time, Xiaofei shouted to those behind him, "Call him Big Brother." Hundreds of members behind him collectively shouted Big Brother. These were all subordinates Xiaofei had gathered for Shugokun over the years. Looking at the impressive members below, Shugokun began speaking with his hoarse voice. He officially announced that the White Dragon Gang would no longer exist. They would be the Black Dragon Gang. That night, after Shugokun returned to headquarters, he told Xiaofei that he was still on parole. So when he encountered the human traffickers during the day, he kept disguising himself as a good person. If his actions were reported, he would be in trouble. Hearing this, Xiaofei said to let Big Brother relax. He'd already taken care of these matters. Here, Shugokun was now the local emperor, and hearing this, Shugokun also comfortingly patted his head. Then he opened the door in front. Inside was clearly the woman Shugokun had saved during the day. The next day, when a child was walking his dog outside, his dog smelled blood coming from a trash can. Looking closer, it was actually that group of human traffickers and that woman, after finishing things last night. Shugokun asked about Aiming almost getting killed during the day. Aiming just remained silent, not knowing how to answer. Actually, his heart was kind, which is why he spared that man's life during the day. At this time, Brother Axie saw Aiming's worries. As a big brother, he told Aiming a story. Once in the north, there was a beast tribe that came south to invade the human kingdom. They cruelly slaughtered humans and seized their homes. Finally, the kingdom's general stood up and led soldiers to fight bravely, successfully eliminating those beasts. After that, everyone made the general a hero, built statues for him, and greatly praised his heroic deeds. The story ends here, Brother Axie paused, then told Aiming another story. Once there was a group of pitiful beasts whose homeland was destroyed by drought, so they had to migrate south to seek human help. The beast leader knelt before the general, begging him to take in his people. But the general insisted they were invaders and must be defeated. In the end, all the beast people were killed by the general, not even sparing the elderly and children. However, no one would know about this, because the beast tribe no longer existed. After finishing the story, Brother Axie asked Aiming if he understood his meaning. That guy during the day did indeed have family. But Ming, you also have your own family now. Brother Guokun, Xiao Fei, and me, we are family. The scene shifts. Just because he told the teacher about Wang Zheng bullying Adi. A kind classmate was pressed in an alley and beaten by Wang Zheng, even stabbed in the abdomen. Seeing this scene, Adi was furious. Having gained confidence from daring to challenge human traffickers, he immediately prepared to take action against that scum. He mentally noted the positioning of the opposing group, planning to use positioning to defeat them one by one. But Arin beside him noticed Adi was already covered in cold sweat. Although compared to Xiao Yue's group of thugs, Wang Zheng's guys were just weaklings. The shadow of years of bullying still loomed over Adi's heart. Only by defeating these scumbags now could Adi completely overcome his fear. However, just as Wang Zheng was about to approach, Arin suddenly grabbed Adi and left the place. Outside, Adi broke free from Arin and questioned why he ran. But Arin said he was worried Adi would make a big mistake. Wang Zheng's group has 8 people and they carry knives. Not to mention whether Adi could win, even if he won. Wang Zheng could call 18 or even 28 people for revenge next time. How would you fight then? And how scummy Wang Zheng is known by the whole school and even the police, but still no one dares to touch him. Because he has a power that even Superman cannot defeat. That is background. Adi has practiced martial arts since childhood. If he strikes too hard and injures or kills Wang Zheng, the retaliation that follows would be absolutely unbearable for Adi and his family. Hearing these words, Adi fell silent. Yes, reality isn't anime and he ultimately isn't Superman. At this time, on the other side, tearing Moonred Dog arrived at a robbery scene, looking at the thugs below constantly shooting. Sun Weiyuan opened the app hesitating whether to accept this commission. This kind of gunfire mission had a danger level of D, the most difficult mission he had taken so far. But considering the urgent situation, he decided to give it a try. However, the next second, a red figure rushed out first. In that instant, Sun Weiyuan only saw he had a demon-like arm. Looking again, the mission had been taken. So that person was also a hero? He charged alone into the group of thugs and began fighting. Sun Weiyuan, watching from above, was a bit worried. The opponents had 5 people and guns. Even he would need to take drugs and be extremely careful. But the app rules stated this mission could only be executed solo, so he couldn't go help. However, screams came from the smoke. A thug was directly thrown out, all his limbs bent and broken. Then 2 more thugs were flung out. The remaining survivor seemed to see a demon, begging that hero to spare him. But he was dragged into the smoke. Then he was thrown out. He was thrown next to Sun Weiyuan. The miserable sight startled Sun Weiyuan. Was this person beaten to death? The private hero app clearly states no killing. At this time, the team below began cleaning up the scene and were shocked to discover these people were still alive. Sun Weiyuan also noticed the thug was still breathing. They had all been beaten to total comminuted fractures. Even their chests were caved in, proving that hero's methods were violent. But his strikes just avoided vital points, keeping the thugs barely alive, which required extremely high skill. Sun Weiyuan speculated. This hero's strength should be above his own. Sure enough, after the mission ended, he opened his phone app. This hero's codename was Evil Seed, level 8, 3 whole levels higher than himself. With Evil Seed's appearance, this manga's climax was about to come. In the Black Dragon Gang headquarters at night, Xiao Fei said running a large organization requires huge amounts of money. Although Shu Guokun suggested continuing with gambling, drugs, and prostitution. He said these were outdated. Now there's something new that countless people dream of. And it's completely legal, real estate. Previously, the White Dragon Gang's grandpa had his eye on a piece of land and invested huge amounts of money. But due to Xiao Fei's behind-the-scenes manipulation, he never got the land back. Now if they go get that land back, the subsequent profits they could generate would be a full 1 trillion. However, that land has some troublesome people, requiring Shu Guokun to go personally. Shocked by the huge profits, Shu Guokun quickly asked where that land was. Brother Oxy pointed out the window. It was clearly Taiping Town. After going in circles for 10 years, Shu Guokun's grudge with Taiping Town was about to reach its conclusion. The storm was coming. At this time, everyone in Taiping Town was still living their only peaceful life. Because Fang Fang had to pay for treating Adi, who was injured by human traffickers, she spent quite a bit of money. So when buying things from Aunt Wang, she couldn't even settle the bill. But kind Aunt Wang just pretended she didn't bring her wallet and couldn't make change, saying Fang Fang could pay next time. Because she and her husband never had children, she had always cared for Adi and Fang Fang as her own children all these years. When her somewhat slow husband reminded her that she did bring her wallet, she just leaned on her husband and urged him to leave quickly. The two snuggled together in the sunset. Their sweet silhouettes made Fang Fang feel envious. On the other side, Sun Weiyuan was very unlucky. Not only did he have to deliver packages in 42-degree heat, but because the customer's elevator was broken, he had to climb 30 floors on foot. However, when he finally reached the customer's door, he encountered a rude old lady. The old lady not only opened the package without signing for it first, but after discovering the item inside was wrong, she threw it directly at Sun Weiyuan's face. She angrily cursed, You delivery people are just dogs, shit-eating dogs, social garbage parasites, using all kinds of humiliating words. But Sun Wei-yuan still smiled and said the item could be discussed with the seller if there was a problem. Also, this package was cash on delivery, please pay. The result was the old lady directly spat on Sun Wei-yuan's face. Shit-eating dog still dares to ask me for money? Get lost. Sun Wei-yuan fell silent. He crouched down, picking up those things in embarrassment. At this moment, no one knew what Tearing Moon Red Dog was thinking. At this time on the other side, because they were defeated by Sun Wei-yuan last time, Xiao Yue's entire group had been arrested and were being transported to prison. But at this time, a mysterious person was actually walking toward the police car. Xiao Yue's group didn't know. That child they had trafficked and who later escaped actually had a very unusual identity. The mysterious person in front of them had chased all the way from V country to find that child. At this time, this man just walked through the crowd. Passers-by's phones began running out of battery and shutting down. Even the signal in this area mysteriously disappeared. Then he walked to the middle of the highway, directly blocking a police car transporting criminals. As the man bent down to gather strength, electric sparks began appearing in the air. The next second he jumped directly, heavily crashing onto the police car, using it as a stepping stone. He jumped and crashed into other vehicles. These fully armed vehicles were toyed with like toys. Even the vehicle Xiao Yue's group was in was kicked and flipped several times. After the chaos at the scene stopped, officers quickly formed ranks and aimed their guns at the man. But facing their warnings, the man didn't care. As he moved forward, he felt something tight around his foot. Someone was holding onto his leg. The man kicked him away with one foot, and that kick signaled the start of battle. Countless bullets swarmed toward the man. Who would have thought the man knew the legendary gun kata? This terrifying scene scared Xiao Yue's group in the car, watching the man walk toward them. Several people quickly kicked the door trying to escape. The steel door was directly dented inward from outside. The mysterious person punched through the steel door, then reached in to grab curly hair. Seeing this, Xiao Yue knocked him away, but was himself grabbed out like a chicken. The mysterious person took out his phone. Inside was clearly Xiao Yue's photo. After confirming it was correct, he took out another photo. Xiao Yue looked and saw it was that child who had escaped before. The scene comes to that little girl. Since that child was saved by Adi last time, she had been wandering outside, unable to speak local language and looking shabby. She could only scavenge for food everywhere, even when discovered by some passing delinquent youths. She was pelted with stones by them. After barely escaping, she was bitten by wild dogs. She fled all the way to the ruins, alone, covering her wounds and crying. The scene returns to Xiao Yue. Xiao Yue grabbed the man's head, directly knee-struck upward, but the mysterious man was unharmed. Instead, he grabbed Xiao Yue's wound and squeezed hard. The pain and suffocation almost made Xiao Yue faint. He quickly begged for mercy, saying, "I'll take you to find her." At this time, in a corner, two students secretly sent a distress call to the private Hero app. "Hero, there's a very powerful person attacking the prison transport. He beat up all the officers. Please come quickly to stop him." This mission was rated difficulty B+. As soon as it was sent, it was immediately accepted. On the other side, in Taiping Town, a group of children were happily playing soccer. But dangerous, uninvited guests had arrived here. Today, Adi was having Arin accompany him in boxing practice. Fangfang was also renovating her family's roof. But this peaceful life was about to be shattered. That transvestite from before came running over in a panic, shouting that something had happened at the entrance of Taiping Town. When Adi and the others ran over, they found the village entrance had been surrounded. Some children were being held hostage by Shu Guokun as human shields. "I heard that Taiping Town has someone playing hero again recently," Shu Guokun said. The mother of the kidnapped child cried and begged them to let her child go. But Shu Guokun said, "Just agree to one thing and I'll let these children go." Then Xiao Fei stepped forward, extending his hand, 1,000 yuan per square meter. "Sign the land sale contract shortly, then you guys can take the children out to have fun." Hearing this, all the villagers were dumbfounded. House prices in the city were already 50,000 per square meter. This signing was practically robbery. But Shu Guokun smiled sweetly. "You're absolutely right, we are bandits. We're here to rob." At this moment, a child broke free from Shu Guokun, crying as he ran toward his mother. But the next second, Shu Guokun kicked out hard. The child flew directly. The child fell heavily in front of his mother. This action directly set off Fang Fang. "Kill them!" The villagers picked up weapons and collectively charged at these thugs. All members of the Black Dragon Gang also charged forward to attack. A great melee began. At this time, Sun Wei-wan, who was working outside, also received a commission message. He opened it and found it was about an incident in Taiping Town. Instantly, he went full throttle, rushing back. Over in Taiping Town, Fang Fang charged forward first with her hammer. She took the lead and knocked down several gang members. But two fists can't fight four hands, and to protect the villagers, Fang Fang was about to be cut down. At the critical moment, a man rushed over to save her. It was Fang Fang's childhood friend Zifeng. With Zifeng joining the fight, 2 other martial arts practitioners also rushed forward. One was the usually quiet Fang Xian. He had been taught knife techniques from kickboxing by Adi's father, but since knives are weapons for killing, he only used a baseball bat instead. The other was Aunt Wang's husband, Uncle Huang, who was naturally strong as an ox but had a kind and honest nature. So Adi's father taught him the throwing techniques from kickboxing. The 2 charged forward fearlessly, giving their all, vowing to protect their friends and family. For years, it was because Fang Fang led them that gangs from various places never dared to demolish this place. But now Shugokun had come here personally. Seeing the situation, he stood up and asked Xiao Fei, "If things get out hand, will there be trouble? I can handle up to 50 deaths." On the other side, Fang Fang was pinning down a gang member. Her father had told her that fists meant to harm people should never be thrown, but fists to protect family must strike hard. Fang Fang swung her hammer blow after blow at these thugs. The peace her father sacrificed his life for, why should it be destroyed by these scumbags? But just as Fang Fang broke the hammer, a large truck suddenly charged forward. Many villagers were crushed under the truck. It headed straight for Fang Fang, and just as she was about to be hit, Zifeng ran over desperately. He hugged Fang Fang and threw her out of the way. Fang Fang was saved, but the price was Zifeng being violently thrown away, his life hanging in the balance. After running over many villagers, Shu Guokun directly pulled out 2 submachine guns and started spraying bullets. Countless innocent people were riddled with holes by him. And just as the bullets were about to pierce through Fang Fang, Aunt Wang rushed over and blocked in front of Fang Fang. Her blood splattered onto Fang Fang's face as she was shot through. Then Uncle Huang also rushed over, his right hand embracing his wife, his left arm holding Fang Fang and Zifeng, protecting them tightly in his arms. When Fang Fang and Zifeng were young, they would cry from exhaustion when forced by their father to practice boxing. Kind Aunt Wang would come to comfort them. At that time, she would ask Uncle Huang to come hug the children too, but Uncle Huang was afraid of getting them dirty because he was covered in sweat. Unexpectedly, Fang Fang and Zifeng cried even louder. Finally, Uncle Huang had no choice but to come forward and embrace them. That was the first time he hugged them, and he held them very tight. And now, he once again held his most beloved people in his arms. Bullets kept spraying into Uncle Huang's body. But for his family, he didn't move a single step. When the attack stopped, Aunt Wang and Uncle Huang collapsed to the ground. At the moment of death, Uncle Huang's mind flashed through scenes with his wife. From when they first met on that sunny afternoon, to when Aunt Wang didn't mind his poverty and married him. He still remembered when they first came to this big city to make a living. Aunt Wang's bicycle that she had just bought with a month's salary was stolen. Honest and simple-minded, he didn't know how to comfort his wife. But Aunt Wang just threw herself into his arms, saying, "As long as you're by my side, it's enough." Later, the couple was found to be unable to have children. Aunt Wang, who wanted children, secretly wept looking at the nursery they had already prepared. It was also because of her husband's companionship that Aunt Wang healed from her sadness. In the blink of an eye, the two had spent most of their lives together. At this final moment of life, Uncle Huang held Aunt Wang tightly in his arms. The two passed away like this. At this moment, Taiping Town was littered with corpses. All the villagers present were frightened and scattered by this scene. Arin also pulled Adi's hand, telling him to hurry and escape with him. But Adi stared at the bodies of Aunt Wang and Uncle Huang, unable to come back to his senses for a long time. Adi was actually an orphan. He, Fang Fang, and Big Sister were all adopted by their father together. When he was young, because of his father's strictness and having no mother, Adi actually never knew what maternal love was. But later Aunt Wang appeared, and she was very good to Adi and the others. When Fang Fang gave up her studies to support the family, she felt heartbroken. When Adi was bullied because of his father's shadow, she would comfort him. Kind and gentle, she always took special care of the young people in the village. Aunt Wang had once given the room specially prepared for children to Adi, saying he could often come play at their house. Actually, in her and Uncle Huang's hearts, Adi had long been their son. At this moment, Shu Guokun stopped the machine gun fire. Looking at his masterpiece all over the ground, he smiled. "What's wrong? Weren't you all united just now, wanting to drive us away? How come you're all cowards now? Your children are still with me. Don't you want them anymore?" Seeing no one dared to respond, he laughed even louder. Sure enough, people are all afraid of death. At this time, Fang Xian jumped behind him, trying to launch a sneak attack. But the next second, he was sent flying by Shu Guokun. Fang Xian crashed to the ground unconscious. At this moment, the Taiping Town villagers who had been united just now were all dealt with. Only Adi remained, watching this human tragedy. The rage in his body was burning fiercely. He couldn't run away anymore. He had to stand up and protect everyone. But Arin held him back. He knew what his friend wanted to do, but the other side had dozens, maybe hundreds of gang members. And they had guns and knives. If Adi went up, aside from getting himself killed, it wouldn't accomplish anything. However, Adi just silently continued forward. Seeing he couldn't hold him back much longer, Arin had to use his ultimate move. He pressed down hard on Adi, saying, "This isn't a comic book and you're not a superhero. If you just charge up there with hot blood, you'll only get hacked to death. Your hands and feet will be chopped off, and your internal organs will be sliced out. Your final fate will be just like your father's." These words touched Adi, and he stopped. But seeing Shu Guokun already walking toward Fang Fang, Adi slowly said, "My sister is still over there." Arin quickly said he had already requested help through the private hero app, and a hero had already accepted the order and was coming here. He advised Adi that the hero would save his sister, and he must not act impulsively. As his only close friend, Arin really didn't want Adi to go to his death. At this time, Shu Guokun stepped over Aunt Wang and Uncle Huang's faces. He had walked behind Fang Fang, although Sun Wei-wan was already rushing over at full speed. It was already too late. Shu Guokun raised his knife to strike down at Fang Fang, but the next second something pierced through the cigar in his mouth. Along with the knife he was swinging down, Shu Guokun looked back. Someone was standing on that big truck at some point. At this time, Arin's phone received a message. Hero detected arriving at the scene. Hero level 1, age 18, codename Marble King. Marble King reached into his waist pouch, then pulled out 2 steel balls. With Marble King's charged throw, the steel balls shot out like bullets, directly smashing through Shu Guokun's shoulder. The underlings below saw this and shouted, "Kill him!" Then they drew their knives and slashed toward Marble King. Marble King bent down to dodge the flying knives. Turning his head, he found he was already surrounded. He pulled out steel balls and fought while retreating. But his collar was still caught by a member. He was thrown away, although he adjusted his posture in time to land safely. Dozens of gang members had already rushed up with knives. Seeing the dire situation, Marble King pulled out a handful of steel balls and directly used his ultimate move. The steel balls formed a protective shield, protecting himself while also indiscriminately sweeping the surrounding gang members. At this time, Fang Fang on the side also seized the opportunity to strike at Shu Guokun. But Shu Guokun reacted and dodged the strike. His clothes were split open, revealing the tattoo inside, which made Fang Fang feel somewhat familiar. Then Shu Guokun threw a fierce punch at Fang Fang. But suddenly a row of steel balls interrupted him. "As long as I'm here, don't think about hurting anyone." When Marble King once again fired steel balls to stop Shu Guokun, aiming standing nearby couldn't stand it anymore. He took advantage of Marble King being busy defending, and jumped directly above him, striking down with a fierce punch. Although Marble King reacted in time to dodge, Shu Guokun seized the opportunity for a sneak attack. Shu Guokun grabbed him and slammed him to the ground with full force. Marble King's brain was damaged, and he no longer had the ability to get up. Then Shu Guokun grabbed the machete that Fang Fang was sneaking up with from behind, and violently punched her in the abdomen. Fang Fang was sent flying and fell to the ground. Several of her ribs were broken by that fierce punch. The battle situation took a sharp turn for the worse. Shu Guokun took the machete handed over by his subordinate and came to Marble King. At this time, Marble King was filled with fear, crying and begging Shu Guokun to spare him, saying this was his first time accepting a hero commission, and he would never dare to play hero again. "I'm only 18, I don't want to die." And Shu Guokun just smiled sweetly, then took off his outer jacket, as his back tattoo was fully revealed. Adi and Fang Fang finally recognized this father-killing enemy. 10 years ago, it was Shu Guokun, who personally killed their father, and now he had brought the nightmare back to Taiping Town again. The terrified Marble King kept begging him to spare him, saying he would do anything. But Shu Guokun just pointed to the wound that Marble King had inflicted on him, then fiercely hacked at Marble King.
Playing hero? Playing hero? I'll let you play hero.
Just as he was hacking away happily, aiming quickly reminded him to watch his back. Fang Fang, who had struggled to get up, attacked with her knife again. Shu Guokun directly gritted his teeth and tensed his muscles. He forcibly withstood this strike. The knife hit his hard muscles without budging, and Fang Fang no longer had the strength to hold the knife. Shu Guokun directly grabbed Fang Fang's right hand and bent it with one punch, then kicked her, breaking Fang Fang's left leg as well. The severe pain made Fang Fang faint directly. Shu Guokun grabbed her hair and lifted her up, slowly walking to the side. Although Sun Wei-wan was rushing over at breakneck speed at this critical moment, watching his sister being crippled, Adi could barely contain himself. "Rush up and kill him. But they have guns. I'll be shot dead." The voices of reason and rage kept circling in his mind. First, Dad left. Then Big Sister left. If second sister also left, then he would be all alone. At this time, Shu Guokun threw Fang Fang to the memorial archway. "I said before, if anyone dares to play hero here in the future, their fate will be the same as that Luo Haotian." At this moment, all the hiding villagers didn't dare to breathe. Shu Guokun also raised his knife, preparing to kill Fang Fang. In despair, Fang Fang's thoughts returned to childhood. Back then, Big Sister told them that when encountering danger, as long as they say hero 3 times silently, a hero would come. When young Fang Fang was curious and tried calling for a hero, but she only shouted twice. And now, many years later, she encountered unimaginably evil people. Her relatives and friends all died before her eyes. She was also about to be killed by Shu Guokun. At the last moment of her life, Fang Fang used all her remaining strength to slowly say that final hero. The next moment the machete fell. At the critical moment, a red cape appeared, blocking in front of Fang Fang. Hero Adi heard her call and rushed over. He charged forward and kicked away the machete. Standing in front of his sister, Adi planted his left foot and gathered power, using all his strength, kickboxing hammer fist. But Shu Guokun easily withstood this punch and directly backhanded toward Adi's face. Adi quickly reacted and dodged this punch. immediately following with another straight punch. His father had taught him before that when facing an opponent hundreds of times stronger than yourself, defense becomes meaningless. What you need to do then is overcome fear and never retreat. Bravely face forward, only extreme offense can give you a chance at survival. Adi's counterpunch made Shugokun lean back. Then he gathered power throughout his body. Kickboxing, combo. However, Shugokun's strength was greater than he imagined. After withstanding Adi's attack, not only was he unharmed, he directly lifted him up with one hand. Shugokun grabbed Adi's joint and forcefully threw him away. Adi rolled on the ground several times. When he struggled to get up again, his right hand had been dislocated, just moving it slightly. That piercing pain made Adi unable to bear it. He looked at everyone who had died around him, and desperately shouted to the sky, "Why?" His father was a hero who protected the villagers and everyone. Big sister was a police officer who maintained social order. Second sister, though foul-mouthed, was kind-hearted and righteous, always standing up for the villagers. She gave up her studies and worked several jobs a day, raising Adi through hardship and supporting his education. Therefore, Adi knew that everything in life was hard-won, so usually no matter how others bullied him, he would endure if he could. Just hoping to live an ordinary life, but he didn't understand. His family were clearly all good people, so why don't good people get good rewards? Why do they always encounter bad people like you? Why must life put them to death? And hearing Adi's words, Shugokun suddenly remembered a detail from that incident years ago. Back then, Adi's father was beaten half to death by Shugokun and his men, but he desperately protected the child beneath him. Now, connecting this with the kickboxing moves Adi had just used, no way. What a coincidence. You're that child from back then, Luo Haotian's son. Shugokun stepped on Fang Fang's injured hand, then continued, "Your father protected the village. Your eldest sister is a police officer. Your second sister stands up for villagers. So they're all heroes, and I'm a bad guy, so of course I have to trouble heroes. That's common sense, big brother. Look at those cowards who only know how to hide, how safe they are." Shugokun continued, "You're heroes. I'm the villain, but so what? Heaven is blind, it can't see. And what's good about being a hero? No salary, no vacation, no social security, no health insurance. When you die, forget about yourself. You even drag down your family. Your heroism making others imitate you. What's the difference from a cult?" Adi listened to his mockery, unable to hide his growing hatred. And Shugokun took a knife. "To warn everyone not to be bewitched by you, I have no choice but to eliminate you to protect everyone." Then he pointed at Adi, ordering everyone to hack him to death. All Black Dragon gang members swarmed forward. At this moment, facing the siege of dozens of people, Adi placed his hand on the ground, then gritted his teeth and exerted force violently. He popped his dislocated hand back into place. Adi shouted loudly, "Come on!" To protect his sister and everyone, he was going to fight to the death. But the next second, a figure came crashing down. This commotion interrupted everyone present. When the thick smoke cleared, that mysterious person brought Xiao Yue to the scene. Xiao Yue pointed at Adi, indicating that he knew where that child went. And the mysterious person immediately walked toward Adi. Just then, Sun Weiyuan finally arrived. After punching down one underling, he was a bit confused by the chaotic scene. Where are Fang Fang and Adi? But before he could think, many gang underlings had already rushed forward with knives. Although Sun Weiyuan could take down one with each punch, there were simply too many people. He was quickly surrounded and unable to move. The next second, the crowd exploded outward. Sun Weiyuan directly took drugs and fought his way out. Using the scarf around his neck, he quickly dealt with these small fries. Then he saw Adi being approached by the mysterious person. Sun Weiyuan rolled forward and rushed over. And just as he was about to approach that mysterious person, the mysterious person also sensed a killing intent. But it wasn't from Sun Weiyuan. It was from another, stronger presence. A figure suddenly appeared beside the mysterious person. He directly punched the mysterious person, flying dozens of meters away. Detected prisoner transport robbery incident has 3 heroes accepting commissions. First hero has arrived at target location. Level 28, codename Thunderbug. The mysterious person was punched by Thunderbug, flying dozens of meters to a high tower. Then Thunderbug charged up again. When the mysterious person stood up, another person walked in. He took a deep breath, then placed his hand on the mysterious person. The mysterious person instantly stiffened all over, unable to move. Detected, second hero arrived at scene. Level 21, codename Zero Motion Man. Zero Motion Man tapped his watch, turned and raised his finger to Thunderbug, indicating he could only lock the mysterious person for 3 minutes. Thunderbug complained, "After holding your breath, any object you touch can't move. If you breathe again, the object recovers. Your ability is really awkward." Then Thunderbug powered up and charged fiercely at the mysterious person. To finish him, I only need 3 seconds. At this time, back to Sun Weiyuan's side, the complex situation on scene made him feel very troubled. The app only asked him to deal with gang trouble, but he couldn't possibly knock out or control all these people just right. If he accidentally killed someone, it would be troublesome. Moreover, the appearance of Xiao Yue and that mysterious person just now made Sun Weiyuan feel the situation was becoming increasingly complicated. After observing around, he found Brother Axie, who had been sitting there, guessing Brother Axie should be the boss here. If he could control him, he could directly control the situation. But then Sun Weiyuan noticed Fang Fang nearby. Seeing Fang Fang's miserable condition, Sun Weiyuan's veins immediately bulged. Damn it, who did this? The transvestite immediately tattled that it was that big gold tooth over there. He also shot the villagers here with guns. He's the head of this gang. Sun Weiyuan immediately rushed over. His scarf transformed into a giant hand, about to slap Shu Guokun to death. Just then, Brother Axie made his move. Red tentacles grew from his shoulders, wrapping around his arms. Just as Shu Guokun was about to be killed, he fiercely blocked this attack with one punch. Brother Axie was actually the level 8 hero evil seed from before. After blocking Sun Weiyuan's attack, he threw another fierce punch. Sun Weiyuan immediately switched forms to block, but the fist directly penetrated his scarf. He was punched flying dozens of meters away. Sun Weiyuan crashed heavily into the wall. After falling down, his abdomen was severely injured, bones even visible. However, Brother Axie didn't give him time to catch his breath, rushing over with another fierce assault. Shu Guokun and others watching from afar were also shocked. Axie actually has superpowers. What the hell happened today? Why are there superhumans all over the street? Actually, could it be that I also have superpowers? But Adi fell into silence again. These heroes were like they had never come. Everything returned to how it was before. He struggled to stand up with his body, then slowly walked toward his sister. After Adi's father died back then, young Adi would stay away from home all day, staying by his father's grave. When Sister Fang Fang finally found him, Adi was leaning against the tombstone, sadly saying that father had left. At that time, equally sad, Fang Fang also lowered her head. But she still reached out to embrace Adi. Big sister is here, don't be afraid. Later, Big sister had to go out to work for the family. Before leaving, she hoped Fang Fang could take good care of Adi. And young Fang Fang agreed to her sister's request. When Adi had a high fever and was in agony, she took care of her brother with all her heart. When Adi was bullied by thugs outside, Fang Fang, though a girl, stood up to protect Adi. She held a beer bottle and stood in front of Adi. Big sister is here, don't be afraid. And now Adi was doing the same as his sister had protected him. He stood in front of Fang Fang. Sister, I'm here, don't be afraid. Facing the large group of thugs rushing forward, Adi swung his fists again. This time, he was filled with killing intent. Facing these scumbags, Adi no longer held back. Every move aimed at their vital points. Although he was also cut all over by them, Adi remained expressionless. His resolve went far beyond this. After dodging one person's slash, Adi directly aimed at his ear and bit down hard, then grabbed his blade and chopped down fiercely. Then Adi used kickboxing blade techniques, slashing down. The thug's fingers were directly severed. This was the first time Adi had killed. Arin nearby was also startled by his best friend's appearance, but things wouldn't go smoothly. A hat suddenly blocked Adi's view, followed immediately by Aming's flying kick. He kicked Adi in the face. Then an explosive uppercut. Adi was almost knocked down on the spot, but turning back to see his sister's miserable state, he immediately regained consciousness and struggled to get up. The two erupted in fierce battle, but just as Adi's fist was about to hit Aming, it stopped. He had been ambushed by Shu Guokun. Adi was stabbed forward by Shu Guokun, although he reached out trying to resist. He was still fiercely pinned to the wall. The intense pain made Adi's lips turn purple from biting. Fang Fang nearby tried her best to save her brother, but she was powerless. At this time, Adi was covered in wounds. Even breathing caused waves of severe pain. Zhu Guokun leaned close to him. Don't worry, your sister is next. Hearing this, Adi slowly reached out his hand again, using his last strength to hit Shu Guokun's face, but this was nothing more than scratching an itch. After that, Adi's hand dropped. He completely lost his life force. And at this time, the battle between Sun Weiyuan and Brother Axie had entered a white-hot stage. The two fought from the street all the way to an abandoned factory, facing the terrifying power of Brother Axie's mutated arm. Sun Weiyuan didn't dare to face it head-on, but he also discovered Brother Axie's secret during the battle. Although that demonic claw had great destructive power, the other right hand was just ordinary strength. So Sun Weiyuan avoided direct confrontation with him, only using his scarf to pull and attack Brother Axie. However, Brother Axie directly grabbed his scarf, then swung with great force. Sun Weiyuan, unable to react in time, was slammed hard to the ground. Then Brother Axie rushed up with another punch. Once hit by this punch, with Sun Weiyuan's defense, he would die instantly. So he wrapped his scarf around his hand and began trading blows with Brother Axie. Their attacks caused the surrounding buildings to start collapsing. They briefly stopped and began a standoff. Sun Weiyuan took this opportunity to quietly heal his wounds. While questioning Brother Axie, "Aren't you a hero? Why are you standing with the gang? Are you good or evil?" And Brother Axie just smiled faintly, saying, "People aren't simply black or white. I know you have regenerative healing abilities, but each regeneration consumes your scarf. Based on your scarf's current length, you can probably withstand one more attack from me at most. And you've accepted a hero commission, so you can't kill people. But I can. You have no chance of winning. cancel your commission and I'll let you go. But Sun Huiyuan just remained silent for a while, thinking of Fang Fang's miserable state and Adi's tears. His answer was, no way. The next second, the two resumed battle. The scene returns to Adi's side. Xu Guokun raised his knife to continue cutting Fang Fang, but the group of captured children suddenly broke free and ran. Xu Guokun directly turned to slash one of the little ones to death, but he was interrupted again. Two things were thrown over and crashed to the ground. It was Thunderbug and Zero Motion Man. They had been defeated by the mysterious person. Just then, the damaged Taiping Town archway began to crack, then collapsed heavily. Fang Fang immediately hugged those children, but she no longer had the strength to take the children to safety. And at the critical moment, Adi rushed over. He burned his life force, bursting out with all his power to support the archway. Don't be afraid, sister, I'm here. And Arin nearby noticed Adi's phone suddenly had activity. Congratulations, Luo Adi, you have become a hero. Codename, White-Haired Baron. Adi's hair had turned white. He had surpassed his limits and become a true hero. The surrounding neighbors were all shocked by this scene. The children quickly ran to their parents. Adi told his sister to hurry and leave too. But Fang Fang really couldn't move anymore. Adi's muscles kept tearing. He loudly pleaded with the surrounding neighbors, please help my sister, she's innocent, please. However, no one dared to step forward, even though those rescued children begged their fathers to help Adi. Everyone was afraid to die, they didn't dare go up. Fang Fang also slowly spoke, Adi, forget it. A heavy object crashed onto the archway. Adi really couldn't hold on anymore. At the critical moment, someone rushed out. He slid on his knees and picked up Fang Fang. Fang Fang, hold on tight. It was a comic artist who had previously been chased by Fang Fang for rent payment. In the moment of crisis, he stepped forward to save Fang Fang. But the archway was already falling. It was too late. Time flashed back to when Fang Fang and Adi were children. Adi, do you know what siblings means? Once, Adi didn't understand the meaning of his sister's words, but now he knew. Adi's blood vessels bulged all over his body. His feet shattered the ground. His muscles burst and tore his clothes. The archway was propped up again. The comic artist and Fang Fang were successfully saved. Xu Guokun nearby even exclaimed wow after seeing this. And Adi and Fang Fang looked at each other one last time. The next second, the archway fell. Adi died. The scene shifts. Can humans survive at 18,000 feet above ground? At this moment, a man stood on top of this airplane without any protective measures. He pulled out a pocket watch from his chest, bit his finger, and smeared the blood on the watch. Then the man threw the watch off the plane and jumped down himself. Detected, third hero arriving at scene. Level 53, codename Iceman. Since Thunderbug and Zero Motion Man had already been killed. The prisoner transport robbery incident. Difficulty upgraded to a... At this time, that mysterious person, after dealing with the two heroes, was rushing back, and he was still holding the charging battery stripped from Thunderbug. Iceman in the distance spotted his trail, and raised his hand. The surrounding water and air instantly condensed into ice, then formed giant ice pillars. These ice pillars charged toward the mysterious person. But the mysterious person just punched and directly sent an ice pillar flying. But more ice pillars were already collectively charging over. The mysterious person immediately absorbed electricity from the battery, then threw a flurry of punches, smashing all these ice pillars to pieces. Although Iceman was already gathering ice blocks to attack with full force, these ice pillars were like scratching an itch to the mysterious person. Finally, Iceman had to raise both hands and use his ultimate move. A supergiant ice pillar like a building pressed down. The mysterious person was slammed into the sea. The resulting waves splashed dozens of meters high. This scene attracted quite a few onlookers taking photos. And Iceman also confidently took out his phone, clicked that he had completed the task commission. But the next second, the private hero app rejected him. Your task is not yet complete. And at this time, Thunderbug's battery began operating violently. The electricity had reached nearly 10,000 watts. This massive energy was absorbed all the way into the mysterious person's body. Then that massive ice pillar was instantly pierced through. The mysterious person emerged, his whole body surrounded by lightning like a thunder god. Iceman saw this and knew something was seriously wrong. He exerted full power, gathering a full 1,000 ice spikes. These attacks came like a storm, but the mysterious person was completely fearless. He gathered power throughout his body. At lightning speed, he jumped back and forth between the ice blocks. In just 1 second, he reached Iceman, then clenched his right fist. Massive thunder energy gathered in his hand. Iceman immediately condensed ice blocks for defense. But the mysterious person's punch came crashing down. Iceman was blown apart and slammed into the wall. Even his armor was severely damaged. Seeing the mysterious person approaching, Iceman hurriedly pulled out his phone, hesitating whether to quit this mission. But this mission was Iceman's designated commission. Forcibly quitting would result in severe punishment, possibly even death. But the mysterious person's fist was already thundering toward his face. At this life-or-death moment, he still chose to force quit. The next second, a massive explosion occurred. That battery couldn't withstand the mysterious person's absorption and was directly destroyed. The mysterious person's internal energy dissipated. When the smoke cleared, the place hit by his punch was fully revealed. Meanwhile, back to Adi's side. Adi, who was about to die completely, saw his life flash before his eyes. He saw his stern father. Dad was reminding him to come train as usual, but Adi was already in tears. "Dad, I miss you so much." Then his eldest sister appeared, telling Dad not to be so harsh on Adi. She had prepared dinner, let's eat, and second sister, Fang Fang, was standing behind them. Seeing his beloved family members all standing intact before him, even able to eat together, Adi shed tears of happiness. He hurriedly ran toward them. But the next second, back to reality. Shu Guokun stood on the signboard, pouring his little drink on Adi. So refreshing. "Today I had to hold my pee for so long because of dealing with Taiping town affairs. Now I feel much better." Looking at the desperate Fang Fang and the crowd nearby, Shu Guokun smiled sweetly. "Superman? Hero? Then I'll kindly treat you all to some drinks." But then Adi gradually resumed breathing. The next second, the signboard exploded violently. Adi's phone began vibrating intensely. On the private Hero app, the number that originally represented Adi as a level 1 hero disappeared. Hero detected arriving at scene level 70, codename White-Haired Baron. The explosively reborn Adi stood upright in place. He used all his strength to open his eyes and stare at Shu Guokun. This powerful body made his whole body ache unbearably. He couldn't even speak. But the intense hatred for Shu Guokun was constantly invading Adi's mind. "Kill you. Kill you." Adi used all his strength to step forward, and just this tiny movement made him unable to bear the pain. He walked step by step to Shu Guokun's front. "Wow, just 3 seconds and you've grown this tall." Adi extended his right hand. Instantly, another wave of bone-deep agony struck. He endured it and raised his hand to kill Shu Guokun. But this attack was easily dodged by Shu Guokun. Adi's movements were too slow. So slow that Shu Guokun felt that even if he took a punch, it probably wouldn't hurt much. But the next second, with a bang, this seemingly light punch directly lifted up dozens of meters of street. The aftermath of this earth-shattering punch directly sent everyone present flying. Ming and Xiaofei even passed out directly. Those who were hit turned to ash and disappeared from this world. Looking at the traces left at the scene, Shu Guokun was so scared he almost wet his pants. Adi's punching right hand began to swell violently. Then it exploded with a bang, unable to withstand this powerful force. But driven by his hatred for Shu Guokun, Adi endured the severe pain again, forcing his body to extend his arm again. Meanwhile, Shu Guokun was already scared senseless. Glancing at his subordinate's miserable state below, he immediately broke into a cold sweat and almost wet himself in fear. Then, without hesitation, he chose to flee. But how could Adi let him go? He moved his finger. A piece of broken wall floated up, instantly smashing in front of Shu Guokun, blocking his path. Shu Guokun turned and ran in another direction. But several billboards were also controlled by Adi, successively smashing around Shu Guokun, blocking him. Seeing Adi had already arrived in front of him, desperate Shu Guokun panicked completely. "Wait, I have something to tell you." The next second, he launched a sneak attack with a low kick to Adi's groin. But Adi didn't move an inch. His anger was rising rapidly. "You piece of trash." Adi raised his hand to punch, but his right hand suddenly stopped. His body lost control again. With the side effects of his right hand, Adi screamed in pain. Shu Guokun was scared stiff. At this moment, 2 hands pressed against Adi's back. It was Auntie Wang and Uncle Huang. Their spirits came to help Adi. Adi gritted his teeth and finally threw this punch. Massive smoke arose. Shu Guokun hugged his head and trembled, but Adi's punch missed. Then the side effects occurred again. Adi's eyes exploded. He went blind. His right hand also exploded and was destroyed again. Adi couldn't bear the pain, but a third hand pressed against him. It was Sister Fang Fang with "Sister here, don't be afraid." Blind Adi swung his punch again, with only his left hand. But because he couldn't see, he still missed. Adi's left hand was also destroyed. He had nothing left. No, he still had everyone. The people of Taiping town appeared behind him. "Adi, go for it." Adi's hands regenerated again. "I'm going to kill you." Adi threw punch after punch. Because he was blind, he could only swing wildly by feeling. He roared as he drove his body, releasing all the hatred and anger accumulated over the years, until both his hands were destroyed. Then he stopped. In front of Adi, there wasn't a single intact piece of ground left. But fate played tricks. Shu Guokun still wasn't dead. He lay on the ground trembling, shocked that Adi hadn't landed a single punch on him. But this sound was immediately heard by Adi. He frantically drove his body to continue, determined to kill Shu Guokun. However, the white-haired Baron had reached his limit. He spat out black blood and slowly collapsed. But then someone appeared. It was Adi's father. He reached out and supported Adi, who was about to fall. Adi persisted. He glared and activated telekinesis. Shu Guokun was grabbed by both hands and pressed against the wall. Then 2 cleavers flew over, piercing through and pinning his hands. Adi wanted to make Shu Guokun taste the same thing, just like what he did to his father back then. But due to insufficient stamina, he couldn't control more cleavers. Seeing this, Shu Guokun mocked. You have no hands, you're blind, and you've used up your superpowers, what can you do to me? However, Adi directly leaned his head back, planning to headbutt him to death. Shu Guokun's defenses crumbled. He shouted, "Heaven is blind, I'm a bad person, bad people should have good fortune." Adi's father behind him stepped forward. "My son, go ahead." Adi roared and threw this final punch. This punch was for everyone. This earth-shattering punch directly destroyed everything in front of Adi. Even the clouds in the sky were split by him. When the thick smoke cleared, the damaged Adi stood in place. On the ground were the severed hands of Shu Guokun, who had vanished into smoke. Adi excitedly shed tears. He had finally avenged everyone and his father. He had killed Shu Guokun. But then Adi spat black blood on the ground. His body had burned out completely, his arms could no longer regenerate. Just then, a voice called to him, "Adi." It was his father's voice. "Actually, as a coach, I can't have a smile, and I can't casually praise my students. Smiles and praise are poison. If I ever smiled and praised you, then you might be finished. But if I look at you as a father..." Then Adi's father crouched down, reached out and touched Adi's head. "Son, you did great." Adi also happily responded to his father. Now that Adi's wish was fulfilled, his body began to dissipate. At his dying moment, Adi hurriedly looked for his friend Arin. The two looked at each other from afar, as each other's only close friend. Arin and Adi's bond was like real brothers. He knew what Adi's last words to him were. "Arin, I won't run away anymore." After that, Adi's body disappeared from this world, only leaving behind those footprints. But there was no time to grieve for the white-haired baron's passing. Next to enter the battlefield were Brother Axie and the tearing moon-red dog. Time went back to before. He was once a people's warrior who swore to fight for justice under the sun. Now he had fallen to become an executioner working for gangs. When seeing his respected big brother injured, Brother Axie, who possessed super strength, was the first to rush out. He fought dozens of rounds with tearing moon-red dog Sun Wei-wan. Relying on the powerful destructive force of his mutation, Sun Wei-wan was beaten helpless. To heal his injuries, Sun Wei-wan used the scarf's power once again. The scarf around his neck was already running low. But more troublesome was that due to the recent battle, they had mistakenly entered a black workshop that produced coal gas. There happened to be a little girl here with her younger brother stealing coal gas. At this point, Sun Wei-wan's medicine had worn off. Now he was just an ordinary person's body. If he went head-to-head with Brother Axie's mutated arm, he would surely die. So Sun Wei-wan reached into his pocket trying to take out another pill. But if he took medicine twice in a short time, terrifying side effects beyond even Sun Wei-wan's imagination would occur. Brother Axie also noticed Sun Wei-wan's small movement. At this moment, the baby on the little girl's back suddenly started crying. Sun Wei-wan immediately seized the opportunity to take the medicine. But Brother Axie came up with a direct punch. Sun Wei-wan's pill was shattered by him. This was bad. However, Brother Axie stopped. It turned out his punch had shattered the entire wall and support pillars. The chain reaction affected the ceiling above that little girl. The next second, the ceiling broke and stones fell down. The two children cried in terror, but Brother Axie suddenly rushed up to shield them. But critically, the coal gas here started leaking, electrical wires exposed. Sun Wei-wan knew something big was wrong. This place was about to explode. Brother Axie suddenly spoke. "I'll throw these siblings outside, you catch them." Before Sun Wei-wan could react, Brother Axie grabbed the two children and threw them out forcefully. Sun Wei-wan also hurried to catch them, but he didn't have time to go back and help Brother Axie. In the last second before the explosion, Sun Wei-wan looked intently at Brother Axie. He wanted to remember this man. Brother Axie smiled at them. Long ago, Shu Guokun had said, "Why does a Shi always look so gloomy? He should smile more." Since then, Brother Axie habitually wore a smile on his face. Until now, a massive explosion occurred. Sun Wei-wan and the two children were blown dozens of meters away, then heavily crashed into a small alley. Sun Wei-wan struggled to stand up, asking if the little girl was okay, but she ignored Sun Wei-wan and ran away directly. Sun Wei-wan said nothing, just looked at his abdomen. His abdomen was pierced through by a whole piece of wood. Sun Wei-wan took a deep breath, grabbed that piece of wood and began slowly pulling it out. He still had to go back and save everyone. He couldn't waste time here. Half an hour later, the belated Sun Wei-wan finally reached Taiping Town. At this time, Adi had died in battle. Xiao Fei and Ming also slowly woke up. Seeing the traces Adi had caused, both were dumbfounded. Is this still human? But someone in the corner struggled to get up. It was Shu Guokun. When Adi's punch came just now, strong survival instinct made Shu Guokun break free from his right hand's restraint and duck down. He survived, at the cost of losing his left hand. At this time, that mysterious man also arrived here. Shu Guokun and Xiao Fei didn't dare speak when they saw him. Nearby, Fang Fang was being rescued by everyone. When passing by her, Sun Wei-wan covered his face with the scarf to avoid being recognized by Fang Fang. The transvestite man saw Sun Wei-wan and immediately complained, Adi he. Sun Wei-wan was startled. What happened to Adi? He found Arin standing there in a daze, hurriedly asking him what happened to Adi. But Arin just shed tears. Adi, he became a hero to protect us. After headbutting that tattooed man, he vanished into smoke. Except for those footprints, nothing of Adi remains. Sun Wei-wan was stunned. The tragedy still happened. he still couldn't protect them. That mysterious man also discovered those footprints. He clenched his fists as if very unwilling. Then the mysterious person and Sun Wei-wan made eye contact. Sun Wei-wan was also nervous. He was no match for this guy right now. But then a sound rang out. It was that child. She was playing a flute somewhere. The mysterious person became very excited upon hearing this sound. He leaped and left this place. In midair, a photo fell from his pocket, landing in front of Xiao Fei. On the other side, Aming noticed Sun Wei-wan was alone. Where was Brother Axie, who had just gone out with him? He picked up the two cleavers from the ground and walked directly towards Sun Wei-wan. Shu Guokun also gave him orders, hack them to death for me, Aming. Kill everyone in Taiping Town. Sun Wei-wan's body shook upon hearing this. He hurriedly took out a pill and swallowed it, then swung his scarf to block in front of them. No one can touch a hair on the people inside. Otherwise, you come one, I'll kill one. Taiping Town is under my protection. But as soon as he finished speaking, Aming rushed up. He wanted to avenge Brother Axie. But Xiao Fei stopped him, advising Aming not to go die. You can't beat that monster. At this time, sirens sounded. The police finally arrived. The Taiping Town forced demolition incident came to an end. At this time, large numbers of armed police arrived at Taiping Town. Xiao Fei grabbed Aming and was about to make an emergency retreat. But Aming insisted on going to find Brother Axie. Although Xiao Fei comforted him, as she has been through countless close calls with us, he definitely won't have problems this time. But Aming, who had the best relationship with Brother Axie, still wouldn't listen, insisting on making a fuss about finding Brother Axie. Finally, Xiao Fei got angry. Big Brother's injuries are very serious. If we don't get treatment quickly, his life will be in danger. We're retreating. Aming was finally persuaded. The two supported Shu Guokun and walked out, but the police had already surrounded them. Neighbors were also excited. You finally came. Quickly arrest these guys. At this time, Sun Wei-wan couldn't hold on either. He spat out old blood and knelt on the ground. Shu Guokun's situation wasn't good. Xiao Fei's brain raced for ways to escape, but there were dozens of officers, and they had all drawn their guns. He couldn't think of a solution for a while. At this time, the leading captain ordered to start the arrest. Facing the gradually approaching police, Aming let go of Shu Guokun's hand. He planned to rush up, fighting for a chance for Xiao Fei and Shu Guokun to escape. But Shu Guokun walked out. He suddenly tackled the police, shouting, "Xiao Fei, Aming, run quickly." Before Aming could react, Xiao Fei directly grabbed him and ran. Shu Guokun held onto the officers tightly, roaring, "What are you standing there for? I told you to go." Aming had no choice but to follow Xiao Fei and escape. The transvestite man nearby was still cheering, saying they should quickly arrest this guy and shoot him. The next second, the captain looked at the battle traces on the ground. Pointing at the villagers, "You participated in group fighting. All of you are under arrest for questioning." The scene became chaotic. Those villagers were all arrested. Sun Wei-wan completely passed out in the chaos. He was sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. But when he entered the operating room, an accident occurred. When the doctor cut his clothes to prepare for treatment, the scissors couldn't cut through his scarf. Instead, it stimulated the monster parasitized inside. The scarf directly roared wildly. Sun Wei-wan was immediately awakened. He thought to himself, "Oh no, the scarf secret can't be known." Then he got up to leave, but there were several police officers waiting outside. Sun Wei-wan directly took off running. One officer grabbed his scarf. The next second, the scarf exploded with dozens of black spikes, injuring them. The officers immediately drew guns. "This guy has dangerous weapons. Shoot him." In a barrage of gunfire, Sun Wei-wan quickly escaped outside. But a bullet hit his scarf. The scarf directly let out a sharp roar, completely going berserk. The scarf dragged Sun Wei-wan, smashing through walls and rushing out, twisting and transforming in the air, into a beast with a bloody mouth. The officers in the hospital saw this and immediately called for backup. "The suspect involved in group fighting has escaped, and he has dangerous offensive weapons that attacked us. Please issue a warrant immediately." The berserk scarf dragged Sun Wei-wan, rampaging all the way out of there. Meanwhile, on the mysterious person's side, when he found where the child was staying, it was already too late. Looking at the leaves left by the child on the ground, he angrily punched through the concrete wall, then also left this place. On the other side, Aming and Xiao Fei had an argument. Aming felt they ignored Brother Axie's life or death and ran away, leaving Shu Guokun behind. "Aren't we brothers? Why do this? Why?" Xiao Fei quietly answered Aming's question. "Just now, 5 five-seater police cars came. That's about 25 people, and they were all armed. With Big Brother injured, we couldn't possibly all get away. As for Ji, to find him, we'd have to get past that monster. But I think our chances of success are 0. So in the end, whether we went to find a Shi or fought the police, our fate would only be getting killed or arrested. No matter how unwilling you are, this is reality." Aming fell silent after hearing this. But Xiao Fei revealed another secret. Actually, during the day, he actively let Big Brother go hold off the police, so they could escape. Xiao Fei had promised Big Brother he would definitely rescue him. This shocked Aming. Xiao Fei explained that when they were surrounded today, one thing was certain. With such a big incident, even if they all escaped, they'd definitely be wanted. And Big Brother was so seriously injured, he had to be sent to hospital immediately. But they definitely couldn't go to legitimate hospitals. Finding black market doctors would take too long, Shu Guokun's injuries couldn't wait. So now, according to Xiao Fei's plan, after Shu Guokun was arrested, the police should treat him first. Big Brother's injuries would be stabilized, and they both successfully escaped. Xiao Fei asked, what happens after Big Brother recovers? Will he go to prison? No. I'll take out those people blocking us. Let Big Brother walk out of the hospital openly. Our goal hasn't changed. We still want to take down Taiping Town. The scene changed when Arin opened the private hero app again. The familiar heroes on it had basically all died. The Taiping Town forced demolition incident had 2 heroes participating. Marble King died in battle. Tearing Moon Red Dog survived, mission completed. The prison van robbery incident had 3 heroes participating. Thunderbug and Zero Motion Man died in battle. Iceman severely injured and escaped. Mission failed. And that newly promoted hero, white-haired Baron, his good friend Adi, confirmed dead. After checking his phone countless times, Arin still couldn't believe it. Why did it turn out this way? Sun Weiyuan's situation wasn't good either. After the Taiping Town forced demolition incident, his hero level had risen to level 12. But due to taking medicine twice in a short time, the scarf had just gone berserk. After barely calming it down, Sun Weiyuan remembered what Adi had said to him. Do you believe there are heroes in this world? Now heroes do exist. But he didn't protect the people important to him. Sun Weiyuan clenched his fists. Now only Fang Fang was left in Adi's family. Even if it cost him his life, he would definitely protect Fang Fang. But then the scarf started going berserk again. Sun Weiyuan's left hand moved on its own, then instantly twisted into a pretzel. Intense pain struck. Sun Weiyuan almost fell off the building, but he forced himself to crawl into the inner attic. The medicine's side effects earlier were just warm up, now they were fully erupting. Both of Sun Weiyuan's hands bent 560 degrees wildly. He was in so much pain he rolled on the ground, breaking out in cold sweat all over just as he caught his breath. Both feet also began twisting. For the next several hours, Sun Weiyuan was constantly tortured by this intense pain. Even with his hero-like willpower, he was tortured to the point of wanting death by these terrible side effects. Every time the side effects stopped for just a few seconds, when he thought he was fine, they would start erupting again. Sun Weiyuan's body constantly twisted in the moonlight, bones crushed to pieces then restored again. He would pass out from pain, then immediately wake up from pain. Sun Weiyuan was brutally tortured until dawn. His whole person was already mentally unclear, even his voice was hoarse from screaming. On Xiao Fei's side, after waiting all night, the commotion outside had mostly died down. Ming planned to quietly return to Taiping Town to find Brother Axie. On the way, he recalled his past with Brother Axie. He and Brother Axie first met at a gang gathering place. At that time, Ming had finished fighting with a bunch of thugs and was covered in wounds. That's when Brother Axie also came here. He rushed forward with a cleaver and helped Ming finish off the remaining thugs. Then he looked around, praising, "Kid, did you do all this yourself? You're pretty good at fighting too." Brother Axie asked Ming, "You look like you just came of age. How dare you kill your way into this place alone?" Ming also shed tears. He pointed at the guy on the ground. "This person forced my little brother to do drugs at a bar, finally causing my brother to die from overdose at the hospital this morning." Brother Axie's expression darkened upon hearing this. He grabbed that guy and stabbed him to death with random knife strikes. He had come here for this guy too. Earlier, this guy had lured his little brother to bankrupt himself for drugs, finally causing his little brother to be unable to pay the huge debt. Drug addiction kicked in, and he jumped to his death yesterday. After Brother Axie killed that guy, he told Ming, "You touched Yongxing Gang's people today. You definitely can't live a normal life anymore. They'll definitely kill you." As soon as he finished speaking, dozens of Yongxing Gang members surrounded them. The leader directly ordered to hack them both to death. Brother Axie picked up cleavers from the ground, blocking in front of Ming, saying, "Today we too came to deal with the same guy at the same time and same place. That's also fate. You've been the older brother for so long, you must be tired. If I can get you out today. You can call me Big Brother." This was how Ming originally joined the gang. Back to now, looking at Brother Axie's charred corpse on the ground. Ming trembled and shed tears. He remembered the battle between Sun Weiyuan and Brother Axie. It must have been that monster who did it. "I swear, I will definitely kill that guy." A few days later, Sun Weiyuan, lying in the high building, finally woke up. He looked at his phone and realized he had been unconscious for 3 days. Worried about Fang Fang, he disguised himself and came to the hospital, planning to secretly check on Fang Fang. There were still police officers on guard here. Sun Weiyuan hurriedly lowered his head and quietly walked past. He noticed Arin sitting in the corner and approached him as Sun Weiyuan to chat, saying that Taiping Town had an incident a few days ago and he wasn't there. Now he wanted to come see them. But Arin just said, "Oh," indifferently. He was completely not in the mood to talk to anyone now. During these 3 days, the comic guy and transvestite man from before were both detained for suspected group fighting. Arin was fine because he was hiding in the corner at the time. As for Fang Fang, Zifeng, and Fang Xian, all 3 were lying in the inner ward. Their condition was very poor. As soon as he finished speaking, Fang Fang started coughing up blood violently. Doctors and nurses immediately rushed in to start emergency treatment. But Fang Fang coughed harder and harder, all her vital signs severely declining. Finally, her heart stopped. Although the doctor began CPR, After half an hour they still came out, telling Sun Wei-yuan and Arin, Luo Huifang just flatlined. But we've brought her back. However, the key issue is, these 3 people haven't passed the danger period yet. Their combined surgery costs will be about 320,000 yuan. Sun Wei-yuan was stunned upon hearing this. At this time, the nearby police also found Sun Wei-yuan suspicious, planning to question him. But Sun Wei-yuan directly ran away. He leaped and left the police behind, but there was no path ahead. He had to smash the window and jump out. The 2 officers were also dumbfounded. This was the 4th floor. Sure enough, Sun Wei-yuan crashed heavily onto a car after jumping, but he just snapped his fractured leg back into place, then continued running. That night, Sun Wei-yuan walked unsteadily through the alley. He hadn't rested properly these past few days. His whole condition was terrible. But at this moment, the private hero app sent a message. He had a specific commission task that needed to be accepted, although Sun Wei-yuan clicked refuse mission. Because he had been unconscious for 3 days and hadn't done missions, this mission was mandatory from private hero. If he didn't accept, there would be punishment. Sun Wei-yuan cursed under his breath why at this time, then clicked to open the mission and check the information. Found it was just helping someone get a bag back, mission difficulty only eat. Finally, he accepted this mission. He came to a slum area. There were several thugs here watching him. They were the commissioners for this mission. At the same time, on the rooftop outside, there was also a female hero who had accepted this mission and came to the scene. When Sun Wei-yuan received the hero commission and arrived at the target location, he found the door of this house was covered with graffiti saying "Pay your debts." Sun Wei-yuan felt strange. If a handbag was stolen, they should call the police. Why would they think to use the app to commission heroes? But considering this was just an e-mission, he still decided to finish it quickly. But because his physical condition wasn't good, Sun Wei-yuan still planned to bring medicine just in case. But when he reached for it, he realized he forgot to bring medicine. Just then, the door opened. A blood-soaked muscular man walked out. His murderous eyes stared directly at Sun Wei-yuan. And Sun Wei-yuan also noticed that inside the room, the briefcase was sitting there perfectly intact. Following the principle of avoiding violence when possible, Sun Wei-yuan planned to negotiate with the man first. But the muscular man immediately threw a punch at him. Although Sun Wei-yuan reacted in time to block the punch, the man's strength was enormous and Sun Wei-yuan was knocked back against the wall. After he fell down, the muscular man threw another punch. This time, Sun Wei-yuan chose to duck and grab him around the waist. Then he used his strength to push the man all the way into the room. However, the man's strength far exceeded his imagination. He lifted Sun Wei-yuan up bodily and slammed him down hard behind him. When Sun Wei-yuan got back up, he noticed boxing gloves and many trophies displayed in the room. Sun Wei-yuan immediately realized this muscular man was a professional boxer who had won many championships. He was very strong. At the same time, he noticed a person lying in the inner room. The blood on that person was identical to what was on the muscular man. This boxer had killed someone. At this moment, the muscular man approached Sun Wei-yuan. Sun Wei-yuan immediately said, "Wait, I was forced to come get the bag. I have no intention of fighting you. Is there room for negotiation between us?" But all he got in response was the man's punches. Sun Wei-yuan was knocked into a punching bag. The bag rebounded and knocked Sun Wei-yuan back. The muscular man threw another punch, which Sun Wei-yuan quickly dodged. Now he could no longer keep avoiding. He took his stance. A jab punch landed right on the man's face, while the man's punch hit the punching bag. The fierce force sent even the punching bag flying. Sun Wei-yuan was also shocked by his strength. After taking that punch, the muscular man continued attacking. Sun Wei-yuan went up and kicked him in the neck. The man was a professional boxer. Going toe-to-toe with punches would be disadvantageous. Only by using leg attacks to create distance first would Sun Wei-yuan have a better chance of winning. After another exchange of blows, Sun Wei-yuan lifted his leg for a series of attacks. The muscular man was indeed beaten back without being able to retaliate, but this made Sun Wei-yuan lower his guard. After taking several whip kicks, the muscular man suddenly used his abdominal muscles to absorb Sun Wei-yuan's kick, then delivered a violent straight punch to Sun Wei-yuan's face. The man put all his strength into this punch. Sun Wei-yuan was actually knocked flying out of the house, and because he was hit in the head, he was dizzy and could barely stand up. But just then, another hero arrived at the scene. She rushed forward quickly, first spraying pepper spray in the man's face, then pulled out a taser and shocked the man repeatedly. Sun Wei-yuan also realized this woman was here to help him, but the muscular man's willpower was beyond ordinary. He endured the electric shocks and lifted the female hero up, then threw her hard. The female hero crashed through the window and was about to fall. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Sun Wei-yuan rushed over. He grabbed the female hero, using all his strength to pull her up. But Sun Wei-yuan's hand was also cut and bleeding from the broken glass shards. At this time, the muscular man also rushed over. Sun Wei-yuan quickly exerted force to pull the female hero up, then twisted his body to dodge the man's attack. He thought quickly and came up with a plan. When the man's next punch came flying, he directly used jujitsu to grapple with the man. However, the man gritted his teeth and forcibly lifted Sun Wei-yuan up with his body strength. Now Sun Wei-yuan was out of options. He locked the man's arm and directly broke his knee joint. Intense pain struck, and the man couldn't help but cry out. Then he grabbed a nearby machete to chop at Sun Wei-yuan. Fortunately, at the crucial moment, the female hero sneak attacked him. The machete went askew and chopped beside Sun Wei-yuan, but this made the man target her instead. Sun Wei-yuan quickly rushed forward to grab the man and pull him back. The man turned and chopped at Sun Wei-yuan, who immediately ducked to dodge. In the fight with the man, he vaguely remembered some past events. After that, without much thought, he took the glass shard he had picked up and cut several wounds on the man's hands. The machete in the man's hands fell to the ground. However, the man roared and rushed forward to bite Sun Wei-yuan. But in a flash, Sun Wei-yuan directly severed the tendons in both the man's feet. The muscular man fell down like this. Looking at the corpse lying in the room, he silently shed tears. Just then, the man's blood dripped down, sliding all the way to the female hero's hand. The female hero's eyes immediately glowed blue. Her superpower activated. Sun Wei-yuan saw the female hero start convulsing and quickly shook her to wake her up. But then Sun Wei-yuan also started convulsing. Both their eyes glowed blue. Then the muscular man's life memories began appearing scene by scene in both their minds. This child was born with congenital disease causing deafness. The loss of hearing ability prevented him from learning language and expression, although his single mother always wanted to cure her child. She soon passed away from overwork. The child became an orphan and went to an orphanage. In this empty place, he felt no warmth. He could only draw pictures of his mother with stones on the ground every day, then lie on the cold floor to remember his mother's embrace. Later, the boy accidentally saw a boxing match. The sight of the fighters sweating on the ring deeply moved the boy. The boy also became a boxer when he grew up. Through boxing, his life began to have color. In one match, a female fan was deeply attracted by his performance. The two slowly came together. This was the happiest time in the man's life. But fate's hardships wouldn't spare him. Shortly after marriage, his wife suddenly became seriously ill. To treat his wife's illness, he borrowed 300,000 yuan in high-interest loans. Debt collectors blocked his front door day and night demanding money. The man could only helplessly endure in silence. However, his wife's condition worsened, and continuing treatment would require another full 400,000 yuan. But the man had no more money left. In desperation, he brought his wife home to care for her. But watching his wife's increasingly painful condition, unable to bear it, he went to the loan sharks again. He knelt before their boss, begging him to lend another 400,000 yuan. How could the boss possibly agree? No matter how many times the man kowtowed, he just cursed angrily, pay back the fucking money quickly. With interest, it's 700,000 total. Don't think about leaving if you don't pay. But where would the man get the money? He could only keep begging the loan shark boss to help him once more. Finally, the boss got annoyed with him. No money, and as a warning for hiding from them earlier, they would now take one of the man's fingers. The man fell silent. Driven to desperation, he chose to directly rob them for money. He beat up that group of people and brought the money home. He happily shouted, "Honey, we have money now. We can go to the hospital now." But his wife suddenly coughed up blood. Her condition had worsened. His wife had completely passed out. The man was terrified and frantically tried to take his wife to the hospital. Just then, the doorbell rang. He instinctively thought the loan sharks had come for him. The man was filled with murderous intent. Today, whoever dared to stop him from taking his wife to the hospital, he would kill them. Opening the door, he encountered Sun Wei-yuan, who had come for the bag. Because of his deafness, he couldn't clearly hear what Sun Wei-yuan was saying, but seeing Sun Wei-yuan point at the bag containing money, he was convinced Sun Wei-yuan was also with those loan sharks, and the two broke into battle. Without doubt, even though the man was once a champion boxer who had won many titles, he still wasn't a match for Sun Wei-yuan, this hero. For his wife's sake, he unleashed the strongest power of his entire life. But the result was cruel. He was defeated by Sun Wei-yuan. The memories ended there. Through the superpower, both saw the man's entire past. At this time, those loan sharks also happened to arrive at the scene. They pointed at Sun Wei-yuan and the female hero. "You guys are those, what, private heroes?" After getting Sun Wei-yuan's confirmation, they were surprised, then burst out laughing. "That app is actually real. There really are idiots accepting commissions." Then the loan shark boss said, "I'm the one who made the commission. He looked at the ground to actually beat our boxing champion like this. Private heroes, not bad at all." Then the boss ordered his men to quickly find the money bag. At this time, the female hero took Sun Wei-yuan's hand, and a voice suddenly appeared in Sun Wei-yuan's mind. It turned out the female hero's superpower was telepathy. She explained to Sun Wei-yuan that the boxer's blood had touched her earlier, so his life memories were seen by them. Now the female hero was communicating telepathically with Sun Wei-yuan through physical contact. She asked what to do about the boxer. He was just a pitiful man fighting for his wife, and those loan sharks wouldn't spare him. At this time, those people also found the briefcase with 400,000 yuan in cash intact. The loan shark boss directly kicked the boxer in the face. "Fucking dare to rob my money!" The boss beat and kicked the boxer repeatedly, until even the female hero nearby couldn't stand watching. She stepped forward to persuade him not to be so cruel. But the boss directly said, "This has nothing to do with you anymore. You can leave now." Sun Wei-yuan suddenly smiled and approached. "Boss, could you please confirm our task completion first? Otherwise, this is a timed mission. We'll be penalized if we exceed the time limit." But the boss suddenly cursed, "I'll fucking confirm it. Now get the hell out of here." Sun Wei-yuan immediately pulled the female hero outside. Once outside, the female hero broke free from Sun Wei-yuan's hand. "We can't just abandon the boxer like this. He'll be beaten to death." But Sun Wei-yuan only said coldly, "Don't be soft-hearted. If you want to complete the mission, follow me." After taking the female hero away from the scene, they came to a tall building across the street. Sun Wei-yuan asked the female hero, "Your mission was also mandatory, right?" Then he explained his mission was also mandatory. If the client got angry earlier and didn't confirm their mission completion and gave them severe bad reviews, both of them would face punishment from the app. This situation would definitely be disadvantageous to them. At this time, the female hero suggested, "Why don't we call the police?" But this was also rejected by Sun Wei-yuan. If they really called the police, what would they say? Should we say we're superheroes who help loan sharks beat someone up? Then afterward used supernatural abilities to see the other person's memories, felt uncomfortable about it, and called the police? Moreover, Sun Wei-yuan was currently wanted by the police. He absolutely didn't want to get involved with them. He looked at the female hero's information. Her code name was Mind Reader, level 2. Obviously a rookie hero. Sun Wei-yuan asked, "Besides telepathy, do you have other abilities? Like Muay Thai or boxing combat skills?" But unfortunately, Mind Reader had no combat abilities whatsoever. At this time, the mission timer was counting down, watching the boxer across the street being continuously beaten by the loan sharks. Sun Wei-yuan nervously watched the countdown. With only 5 minutes left, he couldn't sit still. Taking Mind Reader, he arrived outside the boxer's house, saying that if there were only 3 minutes left and they still hadn't confirmed, we'll rush in and grab their phones to click mission confirmation. Facing Mind Reader's questions, he explained that earlier there were too many uncertain factors. What if we can't unlock his phone password? What if we scare them away and can't get their phones? All these reasons made it impossible for him to seize the opportunity. But now, with time running short, he could only take the gamble. At the 3-minute countdown, he was about to rush in with Mind Reader. Just then, his phone suddenly lit up. The mission had been confirmed as completed. But the boxer was also thrown out. He fell from the building and crashed heavily onto the concrete ground. The loan sharks coming out also discovered Sun Wei-yuan and the others. And another woman came out from the room. It was the boxer's wife. She picked up a kitchen knife from the ground, shouting that she would avenge her husband. But the loan shark boss directly kicked her to the ground. "Your husband robbed my money, and you want to chop me? You two are a perfect match." Then he grabbed the woman's hair and threw her downstairs. Sun Wei-yuan saw this and rushed over to try to catch her. But the loan shark boss directly kicked him away. The woman crashed downstairs and died. Sun Wei-yuan was also enraged. Is it necessary to be so ruthless? This angered the loan shark boss. His subordinate reminded him that these two had witnessed their crime. Hearing this, the boss directly ordered, "Throw them down too to silence them." This undoubtedly triggered the bomb in Sun Wei-yuan's heart. He exploded in fury, beating these thugs down with just a few punches and kicks. When the loan shark boss came at him with a knife, he directly caught the blade with his bare hand, then took the man's punch with his face, mocking, "If you compare your punches to the boxer's, you're not even as good as an elementary school student." The next second, he punched the boss hard in the face, then pressed him to the ground and beat him continuously. This was the first time Sun Wei-yuan used such force against ordinary people. It wasn't until half an hour later, when the loan shark boss was beaten to a bloody mess, that he stopped. Mind Reader said, "Are we just going to leave them like this? They killed people." Sun Wei-yuan said, "They threw people down. Someone must have already called the police. Let the police come up and arrest them later. They can't escape now anyway." After that, he picked up the bag containing 400,000 yuan and took some to give to Mind Reader. This shocked Mind Reader. "You didn't come back to save the boxer at all. You only came back for this money." Sun Wei-yuan fell silent, saying, "I did want to save him, but my abilities are limited. Now that he's dead, why waste this money?" Mind Reader couldn't accept this. She scolded, "Do you even deserve to be called a hero?" Sun Wei-yuan's answer was, "Heroes need to eat too. Heroes need to pay taxes. Heroes need medical care when they're sick. If you weren't forced to, and could choose for yourself, would you still want to be this private hero?" These words left Mind Reader speechless. After that, the two parted ways. When Sun Wei-yuan came downstairs, he saw a crowd taking photos and joking around the boxer's body. Sun Wei-yuan couldn't help feeling depressed. These people's first reaction wasn't to save someone, but to take videos to post online. This world was becoming increasingly incomprehensible to him. A moment later, the boxer slowly opened his eyes. His wife sat by the bedside, perfectly fine, looking at him with concern. The boxer stammered, "Wife, you're okay. That's wonderful. Your illness and the money." Before he could finish, his wife explained that a man wearing a red scarf and hat had helped pay for her medical expenses. She was much better now, as long as the boxer recovered. The two of them could continue living happily together. The boxer said happily, "Am I dreaming? This is really wonderful." The next second, the scene cut back to reality. This was really just a dream. This pitiful couple had both left this world. Meanwhile, Arin received an unknown message. It was from Sun Wei-yuan, telling him to get money from the storage locker downstairs. This was for Fang Fang's medical expenses. Late at night, Sun Wei-yuan stood alone on a tall building. Recalling what Axie once said, People aren't simply black or white. Now he was also starting to lose clarity. Was he a good person or a bad person today? On Aming and Xiaofei's side, since Brother Axi's death, Aming had been devastated, spending his days in a daze. Seeing this, Xiaofei brought him something. It was Axi's diary. He told me that if one day he wasn't around anymore, I should give this to you. Then, turning around, if Axi were still here, he definitely wouldn't want to see you like this. Aming picked up the diary and slowly opened it. The first sentence written was uphold justice, fear no sacrifice. Only then did Xiaofei realize that Brother Axi had once been a police officer. In 1998, due to excellent performance at the police academy, Axi was assigned to work undercover. He was to infiltrate a criminal organization called the White Dragon Gang to find evidence of crimes by their leader, Li Fuqiang. To complete the mission, Axi left his friends, lover, and mother. He became a person with no past. Except for his dog Blues, who followed him, no one knew his past. Blues was Axi's police dog who left the force with him to go undercover. He was born with a green tumor parasitically attached to his neck. Veterinarians said it couldn't be removed. On April 1st, 1998, a White Dragon Gang member named Zhu Gukun was being chased by 50 people. Axi took the opportunity to get close to him. He took a knife for Zhu Gukun, who was very grateful, and thus Axi joined the White Dragon Gang. For the next 2 years, he witnessed the White Dragon Gang committing all kinds of evil and using violence everywhere. Some of the people they killed deserved it, but some were completely innocent. Although Axi as a police officer wanted to help them, any action might expose his identity. He could do nothing. The White Dragon Gang's cruel behavior disgusted him. Yet he was one of these people himself. Axi couldn't help wondering. Was he a good person or a bad person? Because he often looked worried, Zhu Gukun noticed and gave him a name, Axi, meaning joy and happiness. From then on, to avoid suspicion, Axi always maintained a smile to hide his true emotions. 4 more years passed, and he reported intelligence to his police superiors. Axi was still just a low-level White Dragon Gang member. The leader Li Fuqiang trusted no one, and he still couldn't get close. In May 2007, a younger brother who had followed Axi for a long time was killed by people from the Yongxin Gang. So he went to their mahjong parlor to avenge his subordinate. There he took in Aming as a follower. For some reason, Axi felt he was similar to himself. In May 2008, Axi learned his mother had cancer and urgently needed a large sum for medical expenses. He told his police superior about this, hoping he could help. The superior said he would report up the chain to try to help, but because of the large amount, he couldn't guarantee anything. Axi could see his superior really wanted to help him, but he had his own difficulties. While leaving, Axi discovered that Zhu Gukun had been nearby the whole time and heard his entire conversation with his superior. He knew Axi was undercover. Zhu Gukun left without waiting for Axi to react. The next day, just as he worried whether Zhu Gukun would expose him, Zhu Gukun suddenly returned covered in wounds with a bag of money. He put the money on the ground and only said one sentence, "For your mother's treatment." Without doubt, Zhu Gukun was a vicious criminal, but at the same time he was very loyal to Axi. To the world, Zhu Gukun was complete scum, but to Axi he was a great person. Axi began to completely lose the ability to distinguish black from white, good from evil. When a police officer starts questioning what's right and what's wrong, it means he's no longer qualified to wear the uniform. At the next meeting with his superior, Axi didn't show up. He only left a resignation letter. From then on, Axi never saw his superior again. Although Axi gave up his position as a police officer, he could never forget the oath from 10 years ago. Uphold justice, fear no sacrifice, maintain righteousness. In December 2008, Axi's mother couldn't overcome the disease and passed away. From then on, his only family were Zhu Gukun, Xiaofei, Aming, and Blues. In August 2009, Zhu Gukun was framed by Li Fuqiang and imprisoned, sentenced to death. Xiaofei was very smart. He got his lawyer's license in just 2 weeks and helped Zhu Gukun appeal from death sentence all the way down to 10 years imprisonment. At the same time, he made a plan for Zhu Gukun to replace Li Fuqiang as the leader when he got out. In 2015, as Blues aged, his body became increasingly weak. Remembering how Blues was once brave as a tiger but now was old and frail, Axi's heart was filled with mixed emotions. The next day, Blues passed away. Axi buried him on a nearby hilltop. But just then, the tumor on Blues' neck moved. It jumped up and burrowed into Axi's arm. Axi became infected like this. For the next month, Axi was sick. After recovering, his body suddenly became strong. This tumor originally belonged to Blues, but now it was parasitic on Axi. This made him feel like Blues was still by his side. At the same time, this infected left hand gained tremendously powerful strength. This completely exceeded Axi's scientific understanding. After that, a software called Private Hero automatically installed on his phone, and Axi became a hero within it. Remembering his oath from years ago, Axi began accepting commissions through the app to help others. He started trying to become a hero. But when he wore black clothes, he wouldn't use the superpowers Blues gave him. In black clothes, he was Zhu Gukun's subordinate. As long as Zhu Gukun needed it, he would do anything. But at night, he would take off the black clothes and use the superpowers Blues gave him to help those who needed help. Axi wanted to make up for the mistakes he had made. Private Hero gave him redemption. no matter how hopeless, dangerous, or difficult the missions were. He never feared, because only when helping others would he momentarily feel like he was still a good person. What he couldn't let go of most was a Ming. A Ming was essentially a person with a strong sense of justice, just like Axie in the past. It was only because of many complicated relationships that he joined the gang. If there was a next life, Axie really hoped Xiao Fei and Shu Gokun would be his real big brothers, and Aiming would be his real little brother. Brother Axie's past ended here. Aiming's tears had soaked the sofa. He absolutely must kill Sun Weiwan. On Arin's side, Fang Fang had received treatment thanks to the money Sun Weiwan sent. He had also returned to school. Today, a girl in the front row asked to copy his homework. Still somewhat listless, Arin handed over his homework. But turning around, he saw Wang Zheng's bullying gang. Arin was startled. Wang Zheng and his group immediately burst out laughing. When school ended in the afternoon, Arin was walking home with classmates. But Wang Zheng suddenly came over and grabbed him. "Arin, why hasn't Adi been coming to school lately?" "But it doesn't matter. From now on, you'll replace Adi and play with us." Arin was terrified and sweating. In panic, he lip-synced to his classmate to go find a teacher to help him. When Arin was being taken to an alley by Wang Zheng, he desperately looked to passing pedestrians for help. But those people immediately turned away and pretended not to see when they noticed. Arin was in despair. At this moment, he understood. Adi was gone, and the violence and injustice he once suffered would now be endured by himself. He was being dragged toward the alley by Wang Zheng's group. Arin knew that once he went in, it would be over. He seized the opportunity to turn and run back. But just then, the classmate from earlier blocked his way. Arin was happy. He thought his classmate had brought a teacher to save him. However, the next second, his classmate pushed him back. "Boss Wang Zheng, this guy actually told me to find a teacher just now. Of course I didn't go. I'm on your side." Hearing this, Wang Zheng was instantly furious. He grabbed Arin and walked into the alley. The sound of beating echoed from the dark alley. Neighbors upstairs who saw this scene simply closed their doors and windows with indifference. Some students even live-streamed this scene online. Everyone was watching the spectacle. No one thought to save Arin. When the sun set, Arin lay covered in wounds in the alley. He silently shed tears. At this moment, he really missed Adi, missed his good friend. He always felt like Adi had never left and was still by his side. But reality was cruel. Now Arin was all alone. In the following days, Arin continued to suffer Wang Zheng's school bullying. Every time after class, Wang Zheng and his gang would take Arin out, then drag him to the alley for a beating. That scum Wang Zheng demanded Arin give him 50 yuan every day, or else he'd beat him every time they met. Arin returned home covered in wounds every time. But when his mother saw, she turned a blind eye, not caring about his situation at all. Even his own older brother seeing this only mocked. "You coward, got beaten again. You're trash among trash. Don't ever say you're my brother when you're outside." Arin was in despair. He recalled all the memories he shared with Adi, and what Adi had said to him back then, sitting alone in his room in silence for a long time. On the other side of the city, a superhero's real life was revealed to us. Since completing the last mission with Sun Weiwan, Mind Reader had returned to her ordinary life. It turned out she was a housewife. Her daily routine was getting up in the morning, sending her 2 children to school, reminding them to study hard and listen to their teachers, then rushing anxiously to work, first being criticized by her boss for being late, then working diligently and busily. While moving inventory, she slipped and was injured by over a dozen boxes of goods. Looking at her bleeding wrist, she would cry helplessly when facing wrong goods but being bullied by the delivery driver. She didn't have the courage to talk back. When being mercilessly humiliated by her boss as an idiot, she could only silently endure. Her life was full of adult bitterness. Crying alone had long become routine for her. The only motivation in her life was her children. After ending a day of exhausting work, she brought the children home to find her unemployed husband had been playing games all day. Her son asked, "Dad, why don't you go to work? The teacher says adults need to work to earn money to support the family." Her husband couldn't answer. Mind Reader was also very sad. At the dinner table, she asked her husband if he had any plans to look for work. The children's kindergarten fees were due. After paying the fees, there would be no money left in the account. The family hadn't paid the mortgage for 3 months. If they didn't pay soon, the bank would repossess the house. But faced with these questions, her husband just escaped by saying, "I'm full," then went back to playing games, looking at her do-nothing husband, thinking about how she was supporting this entire household alone. Mind Reader couldn't help but shed tears. She took out the money Sun Weiwan had given her last time, remembering what he had said to her. Heroes need to eat too, need to pay taxes. Heroes need medical care when they're sick. She became even more silent. The scene shifted to nighttime. A stray cat was rummaging through a trash can for food, but suddenly a monster grabbed it. The monster burrowed into the cat's body, forcibly parasitizing together with it. On Xiao Yue's side, since being rescued by the mysterious person last time, he had escaped during the Taiping town riots, but his brothers were still imprisoned. In 2 more weeks, it would be their execution date. Remembering their oath from years ago, Xiao Yue was determined to rescue them. But then something swept past him from behind. Xiao Yue keenly sensed something approaching him. He remained still, pretending not to notice. When the thing pounced, he immediately grabbed it. It was the parasitized stray cat, and on its back was actually Brother Axie's evil seed tumor. It turned out that when Brother Axie was blown up, the evil tumor on his shoulder had separated from him and been wandering around. Now by chance it had parasitized the stray cat. Since the cat's strength was small, after being caught by Xiao Yue, the evil seed forcibly controlled the cat's body. The cat's body and muscles began tearing. It mutated, finally twisting into a monster. The mutated cat grew 3 spiked tentacles, then twisted its tentacles to stab at Xiao Yue. Xiao Yue threw it away with one motion, shocked at what this thing was. The monster began jumping around the factory, then opened its sharp fangs and mouth to charge at Xiao Yue, but Xiao Yue directly used a sweeping leg kick, sending it crashing into the wall. After the cat landed, it shrieked and was about to continue attacking, but Xiao Yue, who was used to killing, knew about finishing blows. The moment the cat moved, he rushed forward and stomped down hard. The cat was crushed into pulp under his foot, but when Xiao Yue thought it was over, the evil seed tumor suddenly erupted, wrapping around Xiao Yue's leg. Then the second generation evil seed was born. The scene shifts to Arin, where Zhang Baiting is asking to copy his homework. But before Arin can hand over his assignment, another girl comes over and says to Zhang Baiting, "Thank you for borrowing the homework for me to copy." Zhang Baiting's face instantly turns red, because she had actually finished her homework long ago. She just wanted an excuse to talk to Arin. Zhang Baiting asks Arin about what happened yesterday. It turns out that when Arin was taken away by Wang Zheng's gang yesterday, she happened to witness the whole thing. But before Arin can explain, Wang Zheng's gang bursts in. They drag Arin to the bathroom and ask if he brought money today. Arin stammers that he has no money, his family never gives him pocket money. Hearing this, Wang Zheng doesn't hit him, saying, "You say this every day, I'm tired of beating you. Today I'm bringing you here so we can all play a game together, live streaming." Then Wang Zheng tells Arin to get down on all fours. Arin looks at the stinking bathroom and hesitates. But Wang Zheng instantly loses his temper. "I fucking told you to get down, can't you hear me?" Arin has no choice but to obediently get down on the ground. Wang Zheng tells his lackey to start the phone live stream. In an instant, Arin appears on all the students' phones, including Zhang Baiting, who notices too. Wang Zheng kicks open a toilet stall and drags out the student who is using it. Looking at the disgusting toilet inside, Wang Zheng signals his lackeys to drag Arin in. Arin quickly grabs onto the toilet, crying and begging Wang Zheng's gang to let him go. But at this moment, more and more people are watching the live stream. Wang Zheng just excitedly tells him to hurry up and stuff Arin inside. Some students who came to use the bathroom also stop to watch the spectacle. Only Zhang Baiting looks grave watching Arin's misery. At this moment, Arin's mind is on the verge of collapse. He's crying and begging them to let him go. But the next second, his head gets stomped into the toilet by Wang Zheng's foot. The other students are disgusted, while the livestream donations suddenly surge. Wang Zheng excitedly declares that as long as the donations keep coming, he won't lift his foot. Arin is already drowning in the sewage and about to suffocate, struggling desperately. Finally, his hand drops and he collapses on the ground. But it's not because Wang Zheng let him go, it's because Zhang Baiting bursts in. She comes to the bathroom to save Arin. She angrily scolds Wang Zheng's gang, asking if they're being childish and what good this does them. Then she tries to leave with Arin. As they pass by Wang Zheng, she calls him a brain-dead idiot. This directly enrages Wang Zheng. He grabs Zhang Baiting by the hair and throws her into the toilet stall. Wang Zheng taunts Arin, "Is this your girlfriend?" Before Arin can react, he shows a perverted smile and walks into the stall, closing the door. Arin is stunned by this scene. The next second, Zhang Baiting's screams come from the toilet. Arin already knows what's happening inside, but he doesn't dare say anything. He tells himself that violence can't solve problems in the real world. If he intervenes to stop Wang Zheng now, it will only bring more people to bully them. At this moment, everyone around shows perverted smiles, pressing against the door to listen to what's happening inside, even taking out phones to record. Watching this scene, Arin clenches his fists. He really wants to rush forward and beat up these scumbags. But once he makes a move, his future days will be doomed. Arin can't help but think of Adi. He asks in his heart, "Adi, what would you do in this situation?" And Adi gives his answer: he would help, standing up fearlessly like Superman. Past painful experiences and weakness have always held Adi back, making him retreat. But at that moment, the private hero app appeared. When Arin was being attacked by human traffickers, he instinctively chose to escape. It was Private Hero that chose him, telling him he was a hero. Only then did Adi bravely stand up. He had once thought about what the meaning of the Private Hero app was. A software with no profit, no fees, why would it persist like that? But later, when Adi exceeded his limits to protect his family, fearlessly standing in front of his sister regardless of life and death, that's when Adi understood. The Private Hero app just wanted to tell you that when facing evil and injustice, violence and danger, don't hesitate, don't be afraid. As long as you can bravely stand up to face it and resist, then you have the right to become anyone's private hero. Now, although Adi has passed away, his will is passed on to Arin. "Go, Arin, bravely stand up!" Arin breaks out in nervous sweat, though afraid. He has made up his mind he won't run away anymore. At this moment, Zhang Baiting lets out another scream. Arin immediately rushes forward, using a kickboxing punch combo to knock down two lackeys. As the close friend of martial arts genius Adi, Arin actually learned a few moves from Adi when they were young, although he doesn't have the super strength of Sun Wei-wan and brother Axie. When Arin stands up to protect others, he's already a hero. Kickboxing Arin enters the stage. After his surprise attack on the two lackeys, the other blonde quickly reacts. He charges forward and kicks Arin backward. The two lackeys slowly get up. Arin, you've got some nerve. Because he hasn't practiced in so long, Arin's moves didn't have enough force to knock them out completely. The situation is very bad now. In terms of numbers, Arin is not only at a disadvantage of 1 against 3, the other side also has the blonde who's 1.87 meters tall. In a direct confrontation, his 1.7 meters frame is no match at all. At this moment, Jiang Baiting's screams ring out again. At the same time, all three lackeys charge at Arin together. Arin first uses a double hit to repel the two lackeys in front, then bends down to dodge the blonde's heavy punch. He leaps up and jumps into the toilet stall, directly landing a knee strike on Wang Zheng's face, followed by an uppercut, a jab, then a flurry of punches. Wang Zheng is beaten so badly he immediately covers his head and begs for mercy. Moments later, he's kicked out of the stall by Arin, and collapses unconscious on the ground. Arin takes off his jacket and puts it on Jiang Baiting. I'm sorry you got bullied because of me, but as soon as he finishes speaking, he's dragged out by the blonde, you idiot. Still have time to show off here? Then Arin is slammed against the wall, followed by a beating from the blonde. The blonde's strength and build are both superior to Arin's. Arin knows he can't keep taking hits passively like this. So while his opponent is getting carried away, he lands a jab to the throat. This was something Adi taught him. After creating a surprise attack, he must press his advantage. Arin delivers another heavy punch to the blonde's head, then charges up for kickboxing's finishing move, consecutive break. Once, Arin didn't dare fight back against injustice, but now he has inherited Adi's will. When the blonde loses consciousness from his beating, Arin turns around resolutely. Just like Adi back then, he delivers a heavy kick that sends the blonde crashing into the toilet stall. The battle ends here. All the spectating students on scene are dumbfounded. Wang Zheng has been terrorizing the campus for so long, this is the first time someone has stood up to resist him. At this moment, Jiang Baiting also comes out and returns the jacket to Arin. She expresses her gratitude to Arin. Then they walk out together. In the hallway, Jiang Baiting stares directly at Arin. Arin immediately lowers his head, blushing. Arin, how about we go to school together tomorrow? At these words, Arin immediately becomes nervously tongue-tied. Jiang Baiting angrily says, if you don't want to, forget it. Arin quickly explains that's not what he means, then stammers out a yes. Under the sunset, the two slowly move closer together. But on Xiao Yue's side, the situation isn't so friendly. Since being parasitized by the evil seed, he's been showing the same symptoms as brother Axie did back then. He's had a high fever for several days. Feeling extremely thirsty, Xiao Yue crawls to the sink, turns on the faucet and frantically pours water into his mouth. Even after drinking all the running water, he's still very thirsty. Xiao Yue then slowly walks to the rooftop, discovers a water tank and plunges in. His upper body completely submerged as he drinks frantically. His mutation has begun to complete. The next day, Arin and Jiang Baiting meet at the subway station to wait for the train to school. Jiang Baiting shyly says, actually, this is my first time. Hearing this, Arin lowers his head shyly. I'm also a first-timer. But Jiang Baiting clearly doesn't believe him. You look so experienced. Arin grips his backpack tightly. I really am a first-timer at this. The next second, Jiang Baiting scolds him. What are you thinking with that expression? I'm talking about being late for the first time. It's all because you got up late. At this moment, the subway warning lights suddenly start flashing. A dirty woman walks out of the subway, muttering, I'll be alone from now on. Then the subway doors in front of Arin suddenly open. Everyone is startled. How did the doors open by themselves when the train hasn't reached the station? The strange woman keeps muttering, I'll be alone from now on, I'll be alone from now on. Nearby pedestrians are frightened by her appearance. Arin and Jiang Baiting also look at her, not knowing what to make of it. Then the subway enters the station. The strange woman suddenly rushes out to commit suicide. At the critical moment, Arin rushes over and grabs her. He throws the woman aside, but gets hit directly by the subway and flies 8 feet, crashing heavily into the wall. Jiang Baiting is startled and quickly runs over to check on Arin. Confirming that Arin is still conscious, she breathes a sigh of relief, then turns to scold the woman, accusing her of nearly getting someone else killed. But the strange woman just keeps muttering to herself. Arin also notices her mental state is abnormal and says it's fine as long as no one got hurt. Afterward, they watch as the strange woman leaves. The scene shifts to Sun Wei-wan. Since being wanted by the police, he's been living as a vagrant. To avoid being discovered by police, he can't use bank cards or payment apps. After running out of cash, he hasn't eaten in a long time. Extremely hungry, Sun Wei-yan notices a trash can, where a young couple just threw away some french fries. He runs over and starts eating them. Later, Sun Wei-wan goes to check on Fang Fang. After surgery, Fang Fang has basically recovered. Looking at her, Sun Wei-wan secretly vows that he will definitely protect her. He then tries to find work. But when he hears that an ID card is required for interviews, Sun Weiyuan's expression immediately changes. He's still a fugitive. How could he possibly produce an ID card? He tries several other stores, but returns empty-handed after a whole day. Later, Sun Weiyuan comes to the hospital as usual to watch over Fang Fang. Reflecting on these past few days, his mind is filled with thoughts. On Arin's side, after school in the evening, he walks alone through an alley, thinking about how several days have passed since he taught Wang Zheng a lesson. Yet the other party surprisingly hasn't come to cause him trouble. Arin can't help but feel pleased, thinking he must have worried too much. Sometimes you do need to stand up and face things bravely. But when he looks up, a group of armed thugs has already surrounded him. A man in a suit steps forward. Wang Zheng stands beside him, saying, "Uncle, he's the one who beat me up." Arin's pupils constrict, breaking out in cold sweat. Wang Zheng has brought people for revenge after all. Wang Zheng's uncle looks calmly at Arin. "Why did you hit my nephew? He was doing things to girls in our class first." Before Arin can finish, the man interrupts him. "Hold on. Do you know what my nephew's parents do?" Arin's whole body trembles. Of course he knows. Wang Zheng has been tyrannizing for so many years, but whether reporting to school teachers or filing complaints with the police station, no one dares touch him. It's because Wang Zheng's parents are figures as towering as the sky in the city. This is also why Adi never dared fight back against Wang Zheng before. Now that Arin has hit Wang Zheng, he immediately found his uncle with underworld connections to get revenge on Arin. At this moment, Wang Zheng roars at Arin. "Arin, today I'm going to teach you a lesson right here, then go find that girl to finish what I didn't complete last time." Arin thinks bitterly that what he feared most has happened. Just at this moment, Arin's older brother happens to pass by, complaining to his friend about how useless his little brother is. Arin sees him and calls out in surprise, "Brother!" His brother looks up and sees his good-for-nothing little brother surrounded again. His expression darkens as he surveys Wang Zheng's group's numbers and weapons, his eyes flashing with menace. Just as the atmosphere begins to tense, Wang Zheng shouts, "Beat his brother first!" The lackeys immediately charge toward Arin's brother, but the brother decisively chooses to turn and run. However, he still gets hit in the back of the head with a stick. He falls to the ground seeking help from his friends, but those two abandon him and run away. What follows for Arin's brother is a savage beating. Arin just watches his brother like this, watches him get beaten unconscious. Fear grows uncontrollably in Arin's heart. Now he has to face more than 10 thugs alone. Wang Zheng says arrogantly, "Your brother's done for, now it's your turn." Arin looks at their numbers and his brother's fate. He clearly knows that direct resistance is impossible to win. If he wants to survive, he can only run. But thinking of what Wang Zheng just said, if he runs now, Jiang Baiting will definitely be in big trouble. He can't leave. Looking at his current situation, Arin thinks of Adi back then. It's the same despair, but for Jiang Baiting's sake, Arin still raises his fists. He chooses to face this bravely. Just at this moment, Adi's figure appears behind him in a trance. He embraces Arin and says, "Don't be afraid. We two brothers will go together." With Wang Zheng's uncle's command, more than 10 lackeys all surge toward Arin. Adi supports Arin, saying, "Ready? Let's go." The next moment, Arin clenches his fists and charges forward. Even if he'll lose, even if he might be beaten to death, he absolutely won't run away anymore. And with Arin's awakening, the story of Private Hero Season 1 is coming to an end. At the TV station, the news broadcast is introducing how today is a once-in-a-century solar eclipse. In this grand dark event, countless shadows are stirring in the undercurrents. On Xiao Yue's side, looking at the calendar markings on the wall, there's only 1 week left before his brother's execution. Xiao Yue must rescue them before then, and his confidence lies in the monster parasitized on his leg. Meanwhile, at the home of the mind reader, she looks at the dark sun in the sky. Her hero's intuition tells her that something big is about to happen. Also looking at the sun at the same time are 2 others. One is the V country child who was trafficked earlier. The other is a mysterious person of unknown identity with great power. They're looking up at this solar eclipse from different corners of the city. But the hiding Xiao Fei and Aming have no mind for these things. Ever since Shu Guokun was captured last time, Xiao Fei has been constantly thinking about how to rescue the boss and take down Taiping Town. Aming tells him soon. Coming to Fang Fang's side, she sits alone in the hospital courtyard, lost in thought. The image of her brother's death is always burned in her mind. Every time she recalls Adi's pain and appearance then, Fang Fang can't help but shed tears. On the high-rise opposite her, Sun Weiyuan stands on the rooftop looking down at Fang Fang. Since Fang Fang's incident, he has been staying near Fang Fang almost every night. At this moment, his phone buzzes. A new hero commission has arrived. Sun Weiyuan clicks confirm without hesitation. A solar eclipse can instantly devour the sunlight of clear skies. But this is only temporary. The darkness passes in a flash, and light will eventually come. As long as you believe there are heroes in this world, then heroes will come to your side. The next moment, Sun Weiyuan leaps from the high-rise. Private Hero Part 1 completed.